is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and podcast. I am your host, Jeff Norton. It is Friday. I hope you guys got plans for the weekend. I know I do. I just don't know what they are yet. Oh, but I'm looking forward to it. Anyways, it is also the month of Movember. That's right, Movember. You need a team to sign up for. You can go to our website at www.themidnightocean.com. Scroll on down and click on the Movember banner, just like the one that you see if you're watching us on Facebook. That reminds me, if you are watching us on Facebook for the very first time, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That means so much to us. Helps us grow the show. And talk about growing the show, I want to give a special shout out to our good friend Scott Lemriel for his generous donation. Without Scott's generous donation, you would not be hearing the show tonight. Also, Jeff Hayes and our good friend Brendan over at Liver Medic. Hey, I wanted to kind of give you guys, it's actually a good topic for tonight, since we're going to be talking about complementary medicine practices and therapies with our very good guest, Keri Campbell, and everything. But Liver Medic is one of these things. I don't know if you guys know this, but I have been doing the Liver Medic routine for the last 2 weeks now, and I will tell you, there has been a tremendous change in my life. Something that I've been dealing with for quite a while has pretty much gone away. I'm not going to get too graphic with you, but it works. It definitely cleans you out. And one of the things that we noticed right away with Brendan's help there at Liver Medic was this thing called Candida. I think I got that right. It's a fungus that everybody has on their body, on their system, and it affects your bowels and various things. And I'll tell you, I have noticed a tremendous change for the good since I've been doing the regiment there at Liver Medic. So get out there and take a look at what they have to offer. I do recommend it to you guys, and especially if you want to detox. Highly recommend it. And we will be bringing back Brandon's health tip of the week segment. We're just trying to figure out how we fit it into the show. So we will be bringing those back as well. But talk about health as well. Movember, for those that don't know, it is the month of November, but that means it's Movember for us men who are fighting this thing called cancer. One male at a time. And the way that works is we shave our beards, our mustaches, our goatees, or if you don't have one, then the whole deal is you grow one for the whole month, 30 days nonstop. Now I took it one step further. I shaved my head as well. So I am bald, but it's coming back. It's like a Brillo pad to show my solidarity for those that are going through recovery and fighting that horrible disease called cancer, especially the males. The month of November is dedicated for male prostate and testicular cancer. So get out there, join a team, help raise money. Last time I checked, I think we're getting close to $3,000 raised so far. It's slowed down a little bit, but don't let it slow down. I'd like to see that thing hit $10,000. And great charity, great organization. Check them out. But you can link to them by going to our website, themidnightocean.com. Scroll down until, if you're doing it on a web page, it'll be on the right-hand side. If you're doing it on your phone or smart device, it will be at the bottom. But you'll see the banner and everything. For those that are joining us on Facebook, thank you very much. We are feeding out the Facebook Live. There's a special message down there below. Go ahead and read it. It's amazing. When I call it out, when I actually say it, I think they have automated ASR speech recognition, because when I say it, we get disconnected. So just read the message at the bottom of the screen And it is almost 90% guaranteed that you will be disconnected sometime this evening. And if you want to continue to enjoy the show, you can join us at themidnightocean.com on Spreaker. We have a player right there, or you can join us on Facebook. The reason why we use Facebook is we like to chat. So if you'd like to chat with myself and the guest, make sure that you go to YouTube and use that chat room. Or, of course, if you're a Spreaker subscriber, you can use Spreaker as well. Those are the only two chat rooms that we use on the show that we listen to. So use those to communicate with the host, i.e. me, and also our guest, Keri Campbell. Talking about our guest, she is a true modern day alchemist of complementary medicine therapies, combining the offerings of advanced technology with the knowledge of ancient healing methods. Keri empowers her clients and facilities to journey towards their faculties. Whatever facilities. I'm having a hard time. Let me back this up. Keri empowers her clients and facilitates the journey towards their healing. She is a CA licensed massage therapist and is certified in both cranial-sacral and myofascial-release. She is a qualified nutritional counselor and Reiki master that works with the human energy field and in turn its effect on the physical body. One of the very cool things about Keri, that a lot of people don't know is that at one time she was a yoga instructor to Olympic athletes. That's cool. We're talking about high performance, and man, you don't get any as a sports in the sports industry. You don't get any higher performance than an Olympic athlete. Think about it, and the ability to be around. I remember I bumped into Thor one time as he was training in Wisconsin there at the ice rink, and I'll tell you, it was incredible. I think his name was Thor. He was the skater. I didn't really know who he was, but it was just impressive to just be in the same room with these guys, these high performance athletes. Training center in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Her unique combination of therapies is truly on the forefront of energy medicine and has led her to much success in helping people get out of pain, both physically and emotionally, by treating the whole person from head to toe. So without further haste, here is our very special guest, Keri Campbell. Hey, Keri. Oh, we got disconnected. We'll try this again. That's the nice thing about live radio, right? we get, let's see if we can get her here. Keri, are you there? We are trying to reach Keri. That's good because maybe she didn't hear me mess up her intro. Keri, are you there?
I can hear you. I am here, and I totally heard you.
Oh, no, please. I was hoping you didn't hear that, Midge. One of the worst things I hate about radio is introducing guests. I wish I can just say, here's our guest tonight. Keri, go ahead and introduce yourself.
That would have been great.
But, I haven't gotten that down. It's an art form. It really is. It really is an art form, but it's okay. It's okay. If people want to know what you do, they just have to listen. That's right.
It's all good. It's all good.
So how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Jeff?
I'm alive. It's, today was kind of, and it's appropriate that we're going to be talking about energy because today was kind of a blah day for me. And I really didn't realize it until about an hour ago. It started just to rain here in Florida. I mean, just like gloomy rain. And I am so attached to the weather. We are definitely energy creatures, or I am at least. Yeah. I don't know about the rest of the world, but
yeah, you're probably not quite as used to the rain as we are over here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah. Well, we get it like the tropical rains, but it's a very humid, it's a heat. It's a different type of rain. being in Florida. So it's
with the sideways trees.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's been getting cold here. I mean, we're in the. Yeah. I think right now I looked at the weather. People are going to say, "Are you kidding me? You're complaining it's cold." It's 74, 75 degrees, but it's 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, nice.
But it's cold.
That's
when it
beautiful.
rains. It is, and everything. But I hope you're envious because I thoroughly enjoy it. Come to Florida. I'd love to have you. Everybody.
Yes, I do. I do miss the East Coast warm water. That's the one thing I do miss.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Everybody's like, you got to become a tourism for the state of Florida because I invite everybody. I love it here. We lived in Chicago for 20 years. And, I just woke up. Yeah. I just woke up one day and said, I can't take it no more. And a month later, we were in Florida a month later, sitting here in our new house. Nice. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing, when I pull the trigger, I pull the trigger. We don't wait around. And Sandy's been trying to get me to move to Florida for 15 of those years. And everything. So the minute she's a Florida girl. So the minute I said,
she was happy.
Yeah, she was ready to go. She called her family. Everybody was, all hands on deck. The welcome us to the Sunshine State. Well, let's talk about, that's enough about me. Let's talk about you for a while. How about that? Olympic athletes, really? I met, and I don't know if it's his right name, but the skater, I think they called him Thor, or he was the speed skater this guy was, they have a training center in Wisconsin. And I was driving by there one day and they said U.S., speed skating team training or whatever. So I just pulled in. I had some time to kill between clients and it was just right after the Olympics. So I went in there, the Winter Olympics. So I went in there to see it and he was a little dude, but he was not someone you wanted to mess around with. I mean, I'm huge. I'm football offensive lineman size. And I'll tell you, these Olympic athletes, I mean, they look small but when you get next, they are solid. That must have been impressive.
They are.
To work with them.
They are very solid. It was probably my most challenging yoga class I have ever taught simply because there was such a diverse, crowd in the class. in that I had massive wrestlers right next to little teeny tiny jujitsu competitors that could fold themselves in half and around again. Yeah. And then I had the wrestlers whose muscles were so big and bulky, they couldn't hardly bend their arm all the way. Yeah. But very, very fun. They're young kids. Well, when you're 50, of course I was 40 then, but, they're kids and, they're kind of discovering how to take better care of their body because they're told all of the time, ignore the pain, press through it, through it. You got to compete. And, so it was very good. I was very happy that they were in yoga to become more aware of what their body was trying to tell them.
Yeah. But they were athletes. So, even though they were big men and, they were still their condition, that's the thing. I remember, like I said, I'm a big guy. I could play offensive lineman for a pro football team and with my size, but the problem is that I don't have the endurance. These big men who are 400 pounds they can still run a mile. They can still, 2 miles or whatever.
Absolutely.
They have the endurance and it's just amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And talk about football player. I remember watching an NFL team show where, I think Coach Fisher from the Los Angeles Rams, he took all his guys to a yoga class. That was pretty funny to watch all these.
There was a little bit of a boom there for a little while that a lot of the football players seems like they were getting into yoga. Yeah. And it's honestly, if you play any kind of sport which most sports, tighten your muscles rather than lengthen and stretch, And you can just really, if you're a coach of a team, you can decrease the amount of injuries so much if you just really encourage your team to stretch and to be more mindful and present. When you're more mindful and present, less injury, better performance, all of that. So,
well, I mean, help me dispel some misconceptions about yoga that I have. I always thought yoga was more of a Zen kind of, getting, feeling and, and I know there's some stretching there and I know the benefits of stretching, but there's so much more as an athlete. I mean, what other benefits? I mean, do you develop muscle tone by doing yoga? Do you, what else is there? Cardiovascular?
Absolutely. I had a partner in Colorado Springs. We owned a yoga studio together and we did workshops, and the title of the workshops was "This is not your mama's yoga." And my favorite style to teach is called Vinyasa Flow. I teach many styles. I've been teaching for the better part of over a decade. But the Vinyasa Flow style that I like to teach, it's a movement with each breath, and it's very much a moving meditation. And so as you're inhaling, you're moving. As you're exhaling, you're moving. And most of the yoga poses are weight bearing. And with the Vinyasa Flow, you're getting in probably upwards of 50 push-ups within the course of the class. Just because there's something called chaturanga, which is a lowering down. That's like a push-up, but you're lowering down very slowly and then you're pushing back up. So there's a lot of weight-bearing exercise that goes on with the Vinyasa Flow style of yoga that is very popular with the athletes. But then on the other side, especially as an athlete that is used to pushing, especially as a professional athlete, you really do need the Zen calm down yoga part of it that then stretches the muscles, because it takes up to 90 seconds. Well, it takes at least 90 seconds for the fascia in our body, which is that network that holds us all together. It takes it 90 seconds for it to begin to release. So even when we come into a stretch, for the first 90 seconds, our muscles are responding to it as if it's more of an exertion than a relaxing stretch. And then after 90 seconds, the body goes, oh, okay, I'm supposed to relax and let go and lengthen and stretch. So the Zen yoga, if you are an athlete that's working out for the better part of the day, is the one that you want to turn to.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because like I said, I've always thought yoga was more about the stretching and the Zen and being one with yourself. And, let's face it, I'm a meat-eating potato kind of guy who, you do not want me in your yoga class. I'm sorry. I know you're wet wrestlers, but I'm not, but what can I do? Well, it's embarrassing. You see, I would be embarrassed because, there's some pretty crazy poses there. And there's no way. I mean,
you're talking kind of big, but I heard you. See, I was listening as you were introductory to the show, talking about this whole liver thing that you're doing and the yeast and all of that. So
I'm learning.
You're a meat and potatoes eating, liver conscious kind of guy.
It's kind of like the Waylon Jennings diet. I drink whiskey in the morning and take sleeping pills at night, right? To help me get to sleep. And, and you're right. You called me out. You know what? You're pretty ballsy. I like you already because you've already called me out. We've only been on the air 10 minutes and you've already got me. Yeah.
It's all about honesty.
It is. Yeah, it is. But hey, that's a lot better than what I used to eat now. Come on now.
Right.
It's funny. Yeah. We tried to, in this house, I saw, this is really sad. I'll share this with you in the audience. I'm thinking about going vegetarian, not for the reasons that most people go vegetarian and stuff. It's just, I saw a video that just disturbed me. And to this day, it still disturbed me. And
which one?
Well, it's the the cruelty to the animals, what they do in these slaughterhouses.
Right.
And I'm just I can't, I'm starting to, as I journey down this road, I am starting to realize that energy is huge. and we're going to get into that obviously with some of your healing techniques. And I think that when you absorb negative energy, it has to task on your body. And so when you eat meat or when you eat a product or if you put anything on your body or anything, you ingest any type of product that was formed out of negative energy, it can't be good for you. I mean, it's
exactly,
and I'm watching how they treat these animals in the slaughterhouses and the inhumane and the wailing of these, I saw this video on these little piglets and the wailing
don't tell me.
Yeah. I just said, I looked at Sandy
I'm going to plug my ears and then I go,
no. But no, I said, I can't participate in this. It's hard, but Sandy and I are trying really hard just to completely wean ourselves off. We're looking for alternative sources for protein. And, we live here by the Gulf, but thanks to BP, I really don't like eating the fish out of the Gulf anymore because of all the chemicals in that. But, I told Sandy, I said, if we don't grow it, if we don't nurture it and bless it and be grateful for everything, I'm not eating it and everything. So let's get to Keri. Keri just dropped. That is so bizarre. Let's get her back on the line here and then hopefully we'll do that. But, hey, Miss Keri, you're back. I don't know what happened.
I'm back.
That is weird. That is really weird.
It got cut off. It ended. I got the boop, boop, boop.
The boop. Yeah, that's weird that it does it because this is a digital. Well, but so that's one of the ways that we're slowly doing it. But yoga. So for a big man like myself who is self-conscious and doesn't want to offend anybody and stick my rear end in anybody's face, what would you recommend if I wanted to experiment and start out in yoga? What would you recommend I do?
Well, first of all, if you are in a true yogic yoga class, it's highly unlikely that you're going to offend anyone in there, unless you're, yelling obscenities. But second of all, just really start by working yourself. There's so many, when I first started in yoga, what I did, because we all have that little part of our ego that doesn't want to embarrass ourselves in a class setting. And, I was not immune to that when I started. And so I watched, videos. I at that time, I purchased some videos and started watching them and doing them in my house until I kind of felt comfortable with the language and the yoga vernacular and got my down dog and understood what up dog meant and warrior 1 and warrior 2. And once you kind of get a basis on your own, and there are so many great instructional videos out there that you can watch in your home, and then you venture out into a classroom because it's really supportive to be in a classroom setting, because really every class that I have been to, everyone is really cheering each other on and there to support one another and help each other out. And, it's about kind of going inside and meeting your inner challenge, rather than worrying about what you look like to everybody else in the class.
Yeah, well,
even though we do that, we're human. We're human. We do that.
Well, yeah, I'm not going there to impress anybody. It's just that my mother raised me better than I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to stick my hind in. It's not something that's pleasant to see. So
you go to the back of the classroom.
Go to the back of the But then, of course, in my luck, there's a mirror sitting back there, and I don't want to see it either. So that's the thing. Now, one of the things that I am venturing to do is that we did build a pool. Is there a type of yoga that one can do in the pool?
Absolutely. Some of the best shape that my husband and I were in was a few years ago. We lived in Oregon, and we happened to be in a home that had this beautiful built-in pool. And we would, have a little walk, and we would do half an hour of yoga beside the pool, and then we would get in the pool. And you can, because you're not bearing your weight there when you are doing the yoga in the pool. And when you're in the shallow end, you can, once you learn what warrior 1 is, warrior 2 is, all of that. You can do balancing poses, or sometimes a little bit easier.
Yeah. Hey, Keri,
cool.
I hate to ask you a question and cut you off right in midstream, but we got a hard break.
It's a break.
It's a break. All right. But it's amazing how quick this conversation, the 30 minutes already went by. So it's going to be one of those nights. This is a great conversation. But hang in there, guys, as we talk with our very special guest, Keri Campbell. I promise we'll wrap up the yoga talk here, and then we'll move into some of the energy healing and things of that nature. But you're listening to the Midnight Ocean radio show and a podcast. We'll be back in about 4 minutes. Hang loose. Don't go anywhere. Got a special message for you during the break.
Nothing has proved more indispensable to the progress of humanity than fire. Neither has anything been more violently destructive. And especially is this true when, as on at least one remarkable occasion, flames ceased to be the man's servant and seemed to acquire a spirit and a will of their own.
In England, during the middle of the 19th century, it was customary for housewives to fumigate their homes with burning sulfur. And so there was nothing extraordinary in the fact that on the 12th of August, 1856, a maid named Anne Fenimore, employed in the home of Mrs. Moulton of Bedford, should have been tending an earthenware jar from which rose hot sulphurous fumes.
Mrs. Moulton! Mrs. Moulton! I've spilled the fire right on the floor.
Oh, good heavens. Well, don't just stand there, girl.
And so the flames were speedily smothered. A half hour later, when Anne Fenimore went upstairs to clean, she smelled a hint of smoke, and opening the door to the master bedroom, she saw where it originated.
Oh, the mattress! The mattress is burning.
This time, the maid did not wait. She went into action herself, and within a few moments, the fire was extinguished.
Anne, come here quickly. I need help.
Where are you, ma'am?
In the linen closet. The linen has caught fire.
Throughout the remainder of the day, and during the day that followed, the two women rushed from one part of the house to another, putting out fires. And then, on the evening of the second day, Mr. Moulton, who had been on a business trip to Ireland, returned home. It was raining when he arrived at the station. By the time he reached his house, his clothes were quite damp. His wife met him at the door.
You'd better change your clothes, dear, and then come right down. I have something very, very odd to tell you.
In a few moments, Mr. Moulton had returned to the living room and was listening to his wife's story.
But this is preposterous, Harriet.
I know, dear. It's almost as if some sort of evil spirit were at large in the house.
Evil spirit? Oh, come now, Harriet. Obviously, all the fires are somehow related to the first one. Perhaps there were sparks that managed to spread without your noticing.
Begging your pardon, ma'am.
Yes, what is it, Anne?
The master's clothes. The ones that were lying up in the bedroom. I just found them, ma'am. All burned to a crisp.
Before another day had passed, the strange events in the Moulton home were known to the whole community. Neighbors dropped in and then departed in haste. For during their brief stay, not only the chairs on which they sat, but even the handkerchiefs they drew from their pockets burst into flame. The most prominent physician in the town provided what he felt was a reasonable solution to the mystery. Fumes. Inflammable, sulfurous fumes had permeated the entire house.
How could he be right when some things that burned weren't even in the house? We took the best soap out in the yard just to save it. It burned too.
And Mr. Moulton pointed out a rather serious flaw in the physician's logic.
But it just so happens that such fumes are oxides, and oxides are not inflammable.
I know it sounds ignorant and superstitious, but I can't help feeling that there was a spirit, an evil spirit, at work.
More than 40 fires occurred in the house, and all but the first one seemed to flare up spontaneously, without cause, without human intervention. Perhaps it is a sign of ignorance and superstition to attribute them to a spirit, a non-human agent, but no other adequate solution has been offered to this remarkable mystery. A mystery incredible but true.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network. This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
right, Andrew. This is the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Norton. You can join me here live every weeknight from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or on the web at www.themidnightocean.com. If you're watching us on Facebook for the first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Also, we ask, if you haven't done so, please get over to Spreaker, sign up, and follow us on Spreaker. That will help us out as well as we go to iHeartRadio. That's right. We're going to go, hopefully, with your help and your support, we will be on iHeartRadio by the first of the year. Look forward to that. And we can only do it and only do it with your help. We need you to follow us. We need to show iHeart that we do have a following, a loyal following. I know we do. Absolutely. And also, one brief message. It is the month of November for those that are joining us for this second segment. I know we get a lot of new listeners after the first segment. So, month of November, you want to know more about what is going on and where my goatee went and also the rest of my hair, get out to our website at themidnightocean.com. Scroll down, you'll see the November banner. Click on it and it'll tell you all the great details about what we are doing to help raise awareness for male cancer during the month of November. So right before we went on the break with our very special guest, Keri Campbell, we were talking about yoga and in the pool, some low impact type of yoga that we can do or that I can do. And hopefully maybe you guys can follow along, that will get me going or get us going into the yoga scene without embarrassing ourselves too much, right? Right, Keri?
Right. The
pool. So you're saying the pool? Cool. We can do a.
Yeah.
Now the dog.
Definitely.
Now
you can.
I'm thinking the dog. Yeah, as I say, don't you drown?
That's kind of out. Yeah, you don't want to. You can do the upward dog, but not the downward dog. So
sure.
Yoga means to yoke, and really, what yoga is about it's about linking breath with movement. So even in the pool, just becoming aware of your breath and moving the arms above the water with the inhale up, with the exhale down, the inhale up with the exhale down. Same with the legs under the water. Just really kind of getting the body moving in a more mindful way and being aware of the inhalation and the exhalation of your breath is what it's all about. So if you're doing that, you can just sit and breathe and being aware of your breath and you're doing yoga.
Really? Well, then I'm a yoga master because
there you go.
One of the best things. No, I'm not. But one of the best things I do enjoy doing and I can do very well is float. And so I'll just float in the pool and just listen to my breath in the water. You know how that you get the sound where your ears are in the water?
Yeah.
And I'll just listen to my breath.
Doing swimming pool pranayama.
What is that? What am I doing?
Pranayama. It's breath work. It's like meditation with the breath. So pranayama, meaning prana kind of, it's more than oxygen. It means breath of life.
Ah, okay. Because one of the things that Scott Lamriel, has taught me to do is the hue, where you go hue, that tone where you do the hue tone. And I just do that in the water. Yeah. It's incredible. And it is nice. Just utterly, utterly peaceful. Sandy gets
vibration going.
Yeah. Sandy gets nervous because she thinks she's going to come out there and I'm going to be like, drowned or something because I'm sitting there floating in the water, and I will fall asleep. It's amazing as I'm floating. I am sleeping.
That could be dangerous.
I figured once I can't breathe, I think I might wake up. I don't know. It's not recommended, right? It's not.
No, it is definitely contraindicated. Sleeping in water.
Sleeping in water is not. Well, that was the thing, and I was looking, this is really bad, but I was looking for like a headset or something that was waterproof that I can do my meditations as I'm in the water. But then I'm like, that's probably not a good idea because usually when I meditate is when I go to sleep, right? And sleeping in water is not.
Sounds like you're trying to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
good.
It's
You're
not
trying to create your own hyperbaric what are they called? Hyperbaric?
Oh, the hyperbaric. Hey, you're laughing. I went, because I do these shows late at night and I don't want to disrupt Sandy. So Sandy sleeps in the master bedroom and I sleep off of the studio because I don't, because when I get done working, it's about 3:00 in the morning. We have 2 dogs. And if you wake them up, they're up for so I'm sitting in the guest room, right? And I'm looking, it's funny that you say that because I am sitting there and I'm looking, and I'm like, I don't really need this bed. And so I go to Sandy and I'm like, Sandy, can we get rid of this? She goes, no. And she knew exactly what I was thinking. She goes, you are not putting a hyperbaric sleep deprivation chamber. That's
right. She's got your number.
She already knew. Well, we've been together since we've known each other since sophomores in high school. We've been best friends. And so she was like, no, she's like, no, you're not getting it because I want one of those altered state tanks, like the big still tank. And, I would eat that up. But now she was like, no, she's like, no. But it's peaceful. Well, you can go out to the pool. But then, of course, she gets mad at me when I do fall asleep. She'll yell at me and say, hey, are you sleeping?
I can understand that.
Oh, well. But, at least he died meditating. He died doing something peaceful.
So he must have been happy.
He must have been happy. That's right. He died. He left this earth meditating and everything. Right. So, well, okay. Well, that's good to know.
That would be the way to go.
Hey, there's a lot worse. And I'll tell you, if that's what's in my cards, I'm not going to complain because that would be a good way to go. If you think, at one with the world. Mm-hmm. So, but we'll switch. I'll have to do some searching out there and see if there's some good, I'm sure there is on YouTube. There's got to be some great videos on yoga, water yoga.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah. I do the aerobics. In other words, I'll put, I don't know what it equates out to, but I'll put the music on, go out to the pool and not touch the bottom of the pool for 10 songs. Just paddle, dog paddle for 10 songs. It's hard, but
you're making me miss my pool.
Yeah. See, there you go. There you go. You couldn't have a pool now. It'd be too cold. You'd be ice skating on it.
No. Yeah. It's a little chilly here.
Yeah. I was going to say it's a little chilly.
A little bit.
Well, let's switch gears here because this is the area that I'm really fascinated with is this whole energy healing thing you got going on.
Yeah.
And
it's truly amazing.
I'll be honest with you. I was a huge skeptic. I'm like, there's no way, whatever, laying on hand, because, I watched the body hen and those guys, the laying on hands, and I was like, and let's just make it perfectly clear. What you do and what those guys do are completely 100% different from each other, correct? You know what I'm talking about with Bobby Hinn?
I do not.
He's the preacher he's like the preacher that, you have you have multiple sclerosis and he lays his hands on your head and you fall out and go in convulsions and all of a sudden you're healed. It's like the God healing kind of stuff.
Well, energy is energy. And what I do, I will say, and I use the term God because I definitely believe in God. What I use to facilitate healing in the body is my God-given gift of being able to send out frequency. And when I send out frequency and vibration, I make sure that I am a clean, clear vessel for complete divine white healing energy. And some people call that Reiki. And I am an attuned Reiki master. But, there have also been a lot of things put on Reiki that aren't necessarily Reiki. And when Dr. Usui went up to the mountain and fasted for 21 days and then was given the gift of healing through his hands, there weren't any symbols. There wasn't a whole lot of woo-woo. It was just the gifts that he had been asking for to help people heal. And that's how I use Reiki.
Okay.
That's how I use healing energy frequency. We are all frequency from the very most minute part of our creation. Our makeup is vibration and frequency, and each one of our organs vibrates at a specific frequency within a certain amount of hertz. And every part of our tissue vibrates in frequency. And so oftentimes if any part of our body gets into dis-ease, we call it here disease, but, disease simply means dis-ease. It's not well. That part of our body is not well, and that part of our body will vibrate at a lower frequency than its optimal health frequency is. And a lot of times our body needs help to bring that frequency up to a place where it can facilitate its own healing, because our bodies are very, very capable of healing themselves. But we have to be in the right emotional state and the right mindset and the right spiritual state to help ourselves. And so sometimes that's where a practitioner has to come in and say, okay, hey, this is the vibration you want to be vibing at, and send that through the body for the body to recognize that frequency and say, okay, that's where I want to be.
See, yeah, that's interesting. That because I've never heard it explained that way. I thought it was more of the electrical energy component of it, because like I said, I wasn't open to it until I hurt my shoulder. And my doctor gave me, as part of my therapy, that TANS unit, the electroshock. Right. And that thing was phenomenal, to the point now where I purchased my own, and lower back, anything. I put those pads on there and shock it. Right. So I was thinking that the Reiki is very similar to that, but you're saying it's even more encompassing than just the electrical transmission. It is changing the vibration or the frequency of the organ. So do you have a chart? Please understand, I'm a complete noob, so I'm going to start asking some very basic questions. Okay. So do you have like a liver? Does a liver do you have like a chart and say your liver runs at X frequency?
I do not. There are such said charts. In fact, I was just reading the other day, and I wish that I could remember. Oh, it was in the book, The Subtle Body, by Cindy Dale. And it's a wealth of knowledge. As far the subtle body is the name of our energy body that, starts at our core and permeates through the body and out beyond the body. Mm-hmm. Our heart, the organ of the heart, being the muscle, the organ that resonates the furthest out from our body. More so than the brain. You would think with all of that stuff we've got running around in there, it would create a larger energy field, an electromagnetic field than the heart. But the heart is the largest. It resonates out beyond. And each organ does have a specific hertz of vibration, a range that it will vibrate in. Sure. And you can look that up in The Subtle Body by Cindy Dale. The body is amazingly intelligent. It has a wisdom. And when I put my hands on someone, with Reiki, there are certain positions that are said that, okay, you start here at the head and then you move down the body in certain places and you put your hands. And that's all good and well. And there are times with new clients that I do that with, but really it becomes more of a treatment of intuition, of me placing my hands. And when I, for instance, feel a slowness of vibration or a slowness of flow of energy through the right hip, then of course I'm going to move down to the right hip and I'm going to place my hands there. And as a practitioner, what that feels like is when we come to a place in the body that needs more attention than somewhere else, my hands begin to heat up. They get very hot and warm. And it's not necessarily the skin on my hands, but it's the area between my hands and their body. I'm not always touching their body. Sometimes my hands are on them, but the space in between gets very heated.
Sure.
As that energy travels through. And when a place is in disease, it will draw more energy. So my hands will be tingling like crazy. Sometimes I'll break into a sweat because this person is drawing so much energy through me to facilitate their own healing. I don't push any energy through. I'm not giving away my energy. This is divine healing energy that the person's body is pulling through me to heal themselves.
So they're pulling energy. No, you're pulling that energy out of them.
Whoa. No.
You're pushing energy into them.
No, they are drawing energy through me.
Okay.
A lot of times people, they're drawing the energy through me. I am a vessel. So my job is to make sure that I am a clean, clear vessel. If I let my ego get involved, if I let my, brain get involved and think, oh, I know what's best for this person. I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And once I start thinking, I get in the way.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be in a space of clarity and allow the energy, because everything in this world is energy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And, and the more we can keep we call in yoga, back to yoga, it's called chitta vritti. And chitta vritti is the monkey mind. And the more we can keep the monkey mind a little bit quiet, the more we can listen, the more we can be the vessel for a change in this world, honestly.
Sure.
And I'm learning through example of just learning to get out of my own way and listen and allow, I say spirit, some people want to say energy, that's fine, to do what needs to be done to help people heal themselves. And, Jeff, I'm literally seeing quadriplegics that are getting more feeling in their legs than they've ever had in 27 years of being in a wheelchair.
Wow.
I'm seeing people who have been to doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor in so much pain, and the doctor, and we've all been in this situation, the doctor saying everything looks fine,
nothing wrong
great.
with it.
And there are some fabulous doctors out there, but it's just the human body there's so much more to us than just this flesh and bone that MDs see and diagnose. Because once the organs and the muscles of our body get out of their proper vibration, then illness comes in.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that, because it was my family's rooted in traditional medicine in the sense of, doctor, nurse, hospital, surgery, cut it out. Right. And it was a chiropractor. This is what's crazy. I was going to a chiropractor. I was in a car accident, and I was going there for the neck adjustments because it was easy and they were able to get the pain away pretty quick. I said, well, I'll give them a shot. And it was the chiropractor who sent me to an orthopedic surgeon, and said, I want you. And the ortho was like, your shoulder looks okay. And so I went back to the chiropractor, and he's like, no, he goes, I'm going to send you to another orthopedic surgeon. He goes, I'm going to send you to this guy, and I want him to take a look at you. The first one they sent me to was actually the insurance company one. And so he sent me to another orthopedic surgeon, and the orthopedic was like, got me in an MRI, and he's like, well, yeah, you got a bicep tear, you got a rotator cuff tear, and they proved it through the MRI. But my chiropractor, the guy that never opened me up, he used these, he through adjustment and feeling and these metal, I want to call them sticks, he was able to determine the probe, and he was able to determine where the tears were. And right where he said the tears were was exactly where the tears were. So that opened my eyes to this whole thing of alternative medicine. and going, maybe these guys don't have what it takes. And then when I got done with my therapy, of course, after having my surgery on my shoulder and stuff, I went back to him and he said, look, you can do this one or two ways. He goes, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to go against the orthopedic surgeon. He said, but I want you to do these treatments with me with the lasers and the TANS unit. And I believe it was a form of Reiki because he never touched me, and it was like a massage though, but he never touched me. And I will tell you, 3 weeks after my surgery, I had full range of motion in my shoulder. This is after a bicep muscle tear and a rotator cuff. And I had full range of motion, and the therapist, the physical therapist, was like, you can continue to do the bands. We want you to do the bands. Well, it wasn't 3. It was a month after, because 3, but they were like, there's not really much more we can do for you. You're already, you got full range of motion. You got everything you need. And that's where I went, I need to start learning a little bit more about these alternative therapies. Because my other doctor was, give me drugs. Give me the Percocets, give me the, the oxycodones, the pain medicine.
Yeah. And you know what's amazing about those, and so sad, honestly, is that what those do is they diminish our own healing capabilities. We have this, I'm also lucky enough to be a myofascial-release therapist. So I'm California licensed, getting licensed in Washington right now. But as a myofascial-release therapist, I have learned that the fascial system in our body, the fascia, is pretty much the system that runs under our skin, in between, throughout, over, surrounding every muscle, pretty much every structure of our body. It's what holds us together. And it is actually, the substance of it is like a microcrystalline substance. And so when they hook up these electrodes, like you were talking about doing that on your shoulder, this fascial system that runs throughout our whole body, a physical system, conducts this electricity. And so that's pretty much what I'm feeling when I'm doing energy work, is I'm feeling restrictions in the fascial system of the physical body. Because when there are constrictions or tightness in those areas, if we have a bruise or we have an injury or contusion, the fascia goes to work to kind of protect and solidify a little bit around that area, and it can get a little bit carried away. And so what the myofascial release does is, by releasing that fascia underneath the skin, it helps that network flow freely again, so that the energy transfer system of our body can work the way it's supposed to work. So that's why those electrodes that they put on you and give you that little shock therapy, it's kind of like a little vibration shock. That's what that's doing. Yeah. It's kind of helping that release and move freely again.
Well, and I agree. I think the opioids, you made a statement. I think the opioids and all the drugs that they give you inhibit that, and inhibit the system. Well, because it can't, how do you say, because I look at the body as a total system, right? So if you dull one component of the body, the rest of if one component is in disease, the rest of it is suffering as well. And stuff. So no, I get you. I'm with you on that one. I agree. Another experience, you talked about where the body, and we're coming into another break. See, this is, it's quick. We're going by quick. So, but you talk about how you're able to sense the blockage and at the disease, or I just use the injured area and everything. How do I say this? Have you ever experienced where the heat grows, but have you ever experienced a sense where it is like the body's so diseased that you say, whoa, there's something else going on here, and then have that confirmed? And, I'll ask that, and then you can answer that after the break. because I find that fascinating. Well, because it's easy. Okay. I guess my thing is that because I'm still trying to scientifically wrap my head around this because I am a scientific person by nature. So I'm trying to look at like if there's confirmation where you have been able to, because it's one thing when someone comes in and says, "Oh, my knee's aching," right? And they point to their knee and then you do your thing. But it's another thing for you not to know what's going on and then for you to pick up on it and then report back to them and then have them validate that. So let's take our break, Keri, and come back to that because I think, like I said, my scientific mind is running because I want to believe. I really, really do. There's nothing more important to me than to learn about the natural cures outside of mainstream medicine. When we get back, we'll talk with our very special guest, Keri Campbell.
The incredible, death has always played a significant role. For it is inevitable that the great mystery which has intrigued men's minds since the beginning of time should itself be surrounded by countless minor mysteries. Of all of these, none is more curious, none more difficult to explain than the tantalizing story of Geoffrey de Rossier's mirror.
Geoffrey de Rossier was dying. He lay in a ward at the War Memorial Hospital in Sault Ste. Marie. His nurse, Adeline Knoop, hovering near his bed, knew that the end could not be far off. Indeed, she thought that consciousness had already slipped away. But then, to her astonishment, Geoffrey de Rossier opened his eyes and his lips moved feebly.
"A mirror. Bring me a mirror."
Hastening to obey what was unquestionably his last wish, Nurse Knoop found the mirror and brought it to him. It was just an ordinary mirror, a rectangular piece of glass without a frame. He took it in his trembling hands and held it before his face.
"Madame, I'm dying."
Nurse Knoop and 3 other occupants of the ward heard that wild, frantic cry. They saw him throw the mirror down on the steel table that stood beside his bed. But it did not break. It lay where it had fallen. And Geoffrey de Rossier slumped weakly back on his pillows. But before he lost consciousness completely, de Rossier murmured one final mysterious statement. And every person in the room heard it.
"That mirror. You won't be able to pick it up."
Later that morning, when the body of Geoffrey de Rossier had been removed, Nurse Knoop assisted in preparing the bed for a new patient. And then the mirror, still lying on the table, caught her eye. She bent to pick it up. A moment later, her face suddenly white, she hurried out of the room and summoned an intern who was passing in the corridor. When she told him her story, he followed her to the bed, chuckling with amusement.
I want to show it to you. Relax, nurse. I don't think I'd be too upset about this.
But I tell you, it won't budge.
You've heard of an E-day fix, haven't you? The late patient planted the idea in your mind, and it stayed there, that's all. He said you wouldn't be able to pick up the mirror, and lo and behold, you can't pick it up.
Let's see you pick it up.
Good Lord. For some strange reason, it stuck to the table.
And it remained stuck for 24 hours. During that time, practically every doctor and nurse on the floor tried to move it. And throughout that whole day and night, there was scarcely a person in the War Memorial Hospital who was not recalling, with a shudder, those strange last words of Geoffrey de Rossier. The following morning, Nurse Adeline Knoop came back on duty. Her first act, when she entered the ward, was to approach the bedside table. The occupants of the other beds watched attentively as she made one final effort to remove the mirror.
I just touched it. Why, it flew high in the air.
After that, the mirror was carefully examined. No chemical or adhesive substance was found, either on it or on the surface of the table. Efforts were made to force it to readhere to the table, but they were unsuccessful. It still remains a mystery. A mystery incredible but true.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
In the records of the American criminal courts, we might expect to find stirring stories of human conflict.
I have no idea what just happened there, but this is the Midnight Ocean radio show and podcast. It's going to be one of those nights. Talk about energy. That was really bizarre. I have to check the computers and see what's going on. And it was kind of strange because they have that type of glitch, considering what I was going to talk about after that little break. I hope you guys enjoy our old-time radio vignettes. Instead of just playing music during the break, I figured I'd give you guys something that's a little bit more entertaining. So let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Shoot feedback to me here in the chat rooms. But the reason why I find it ironic is I was going to tell you guys, as you know, I monitor some of the dark web and do different things. And, being a computer guy and security guy and in telecommunications, which is one of the number one hacked systems out there, besides our government. Their computers are hacked all the time. But telecommunications, believe it or not, the desire to be able to make long distance phone calls free of charge is still out there. And so we fend off a lot of those. I will tell you, I just want to let our listeners know, if you have not done so already, as you know, we have the election. Please go out there and do your, vote for whatever candidate you want to vote for. I'm not, I don't care about that. I'm just going to tell you that there is a lot of chatter going on out there. That there's something gearing up, as another denial of service attack. What that means is that some of your banking systems might not work on Tuesday. So the heads up, you might want to just go to the bank, go to the ATM this weekend or whatever, take out a couple $100 in cash and keep cash with you, just as a precautionary tale. And, who cares? It's a couple $100. You should always keep cash with you anyhow. But, I just want to let you know, because there might be a possibility that for a few days that some of the credit card machines and some of the banks and stuff won't be operational in that regard to the ATMs. I know some states have reported those issues along the East Coast last week, and there's warnings. I'm sure you're going to start hearing about them in the mainstream news here in the next couple of days, but all of the security centers that I'm affiliated with are starting to heat up, getting ready for the election and everything. So I just want to take this time to tell my listeners, you guys out there, that is some of the information I just want to pass. I'm not fear mongering, just being cautious with you guys and everything. So go out there, do that. Make sure you have a couple $100 with you. Without further ado, I do want to bring our guest back, Miss Keri. I appreciate you hanging on there during that break and everything. So right before we took the break, I kind of asked you, have you ever been in a situation where you didn't know, and then you kind of did the Reiki and you said, whoa, this is not right. And you really, and then had that later being validated through another type of procedure or exploratory or some kind of other type of procedure? Whoa. We talking about, I don't know what is going on here. Hey, Keri.
Hello.
This is the weirdest thing. I have never had any issues with this phone system, ever. Ever. And I was going to ask.
I thought, oh, he's gone.
Well, no. One of the questions, if I have that, shoot me an email or whatever. Let me know, that because I can't, I see that you're it says that you're dialed in, but you're not there. So it's really, 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 really bizarre. And actually, I was going to ask this question later, but I think we already have I got the answer to the next question, but I want to first get the answer. Have you, in your therapies, ever had an instance in which you felt something in a person or through their energy, through your process, where it was then later confirmed? In other words, it was unknown, but then it was later confirmed through another kind of investigative, through an MRI or, through another visit to a doctor where i.e. a tumor, anything like that. Have you ever, come across that?
No.
Okay.
Not in that way. Thankfully, I'm glad.
Yeah, that's good.
However, I have had kind of verification, validation, if you will, if you want to use that term, within the session itself, working on someone and getting a sense of, like I mentioned earlier, the energy, I'm sensing the energy is flowing slower through the right hip. And, and then I would ask them, have you been having pain in your right hip? And they're like, oh my gosh, how did you know? And then they say, well, I have some bursitis in my right hip, which I was unaware of. Or, one instance of a left shoulder, I got a sense of, feeling like something was going on in the left shoulder. The energy is flowing a little more slowly in that area. And well, I injured it last week in baseball and, it's been bothering me. So I have had those kinds of, validations of, okay, I'm on the right track, and, it's not just my mind making things up.
Yeah. Well, like I said, with Dr. Dan, with my shoulder, he did his thing and he knew right. And he marked it. Right. I mean, he didn't have MRI. He didn't have anything. He picked it up from the energy. He kind of did what, and then he was like, I'm sending you on and the first orthopedic said, there's nothing wrong. You're all right. And then the second he's like, no, I'm going to send you on and for another consult. Mm-hmm. And the second, orthopedic said, well, I would do an MRI. He goes, because you can't tell if there's a tear there or whatever. He goes, you got to do an MRI where they inject the dye. They injected the dye, and he was like, oh yeah. He goes, you got a massive tear in your rotator cuff and in the bicep. So, and that was,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, you're bringing this back to mind. Actually, I had forgotten about this. A few months ago, I had someone who had hand cancer and had gone into remission, and they were really hoping that they had beat it. And I was working on them, and as soon as I put my hands on their head, I knew that there was cancer back in the front right lobe of the brain. And I said, I really think that I'm sensing something off right here. And she went and had a half later, and sure enough, right where I felt that disruption was where a small tumor had come back. So yes,
okay.
I have.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't want to bring that bad memory, something bad like that up, but that's a level of validation. Right. That goes back to, because it's easy. Yeah. It's easy to sit there and look and say, look at a foot and say, yeah, you broke it by looking at it. But it's another thing to say, well,
right.
Yeah. And that, okay. How much?
I don't by any means, I was just going to say, I don't by any means call myself a medical intuitive, because there are many talented, medical intuitives out there. But I do get that intuition that says something's not quite right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think most people, how do I say this? When you slow down, and when my journey that I'm going through, I have slowed down considerably. I'm more observant of people, places, and things than I ever have been.
Yeah.
And, before, where I would just glance at someone and just walk by, I don't know, maybe I might freak them out, but I actually pick up, because one of the things that I always had an issue with me, like in crowds. And the reason being is because when I was in crowds, I was always uneasy, but yet I sought them out. It was weird. It's kind of like I'm uneasy and with a bunch of people. I do not like being in a room with 100 people or so, where we're all pressing up or touching each other at a conference. But yet I enjoy, how do I say this? But I enjoy being there. And it wasn't until I had a guest on the show that said, well, you're an empath. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, because what makes you uneasy? It's like, because it's like when I'm in a room, I want to know everybody's story. You know, I want to know, like, what's going on with you today? What's going on with you today?
Yeah.
And I feed off of that story, and but it makes you uncomfortable because sometimes you get the negative energy. And so they explained that to me, and now I go, and you're right. I mean, I'm a firm believer. If we slow down and get in touch with what's around us and actually listen, we could do exactly what you're doing. All of us have that capability where we can sit there and say,
absolutely,
something's not right here. And, you know, and that's where I think your training comes in, where you're able to then say, this is not what, you know, people, you know, can say, well, that doesn't feel right to me. I don't know what that is. But then someone like yourself with your experience will say that is, you know, this or that, or they're out of balance. It's fascinating.
Sure. Right. Well, you know, one of the first questions when I have a client come to me, one of my first questions for them is, or I ask them to, you know, kind of let their bodies settle into the table and become very quiet and very relaxed and allow everything to be heavy. And then I ask them, you know, okay, starting from the core of your body, going out beyond your skin, where do you feel, you know, a lot of people call it an aura. And so whatever term I think they know best, I will say, you know, where do you think your energy field or your aura extends out to right now? And their first reaction is, well, I don't know. And I'm like, well, you know, just take a few breaths and then just kind of take a guess. Where does it feel like? If you connect in with that, where does it feel like? And when they say it, they're always right on. You know, they'll either say, well, it kind of feels like it's 3 inches outside of my body, or it's 6 to 8 inches outside of my body. And I mean, 9.5 times out of 10, they say exactly what I'm sensing. Mm. And so once all we have to do is get really quiet. And if we've never done it before, we're going to automatically think like, oh, I'm just guessing. That's just my mind just kind of throwing out a number to give out a number. But if we really quiet down, we're aware of so much more than we think we are. And once we become aware of that energy body, and that's where we can begin to either protect ourselves when we need to, when there's negative energy around, or we can open up and experience life even greater than we do already, because we can open ourselves up to those good, loving energies even more.
I get it. Yeah. Now, have you had anybody, you know, when I'm thinking, well, I was listening to you and I'm sitting there thinking, like, if I was sitting with you and I was having this conversation, like we're having a conversation, but I was, you know, sitting in that table or on that chair, for me right now, I would say that all my energy is going out of my feet, out of the bottom of my feet.
Yeah.
Is that bizarre?
Well,
was that
no, that's not bizarre at all, because what's funny is when I work on someone, I usually start at the crown, and the very first thing that we do after I help them get a sense of where their energy body extends out to is we start with a cleansing shower. So we're getting rid of any negativity, any doubt, any anger, anything that's kind of been hounding us throughout the day. And the meditation that I walk them through is a beautiful, thick, silvery, white, violet shower running from the crown of their head, down their body, out their fingertips, through the torso, down the legs, and out the toes. So that's completely in line with kind of how it would move to release anything that needs to be released. Is out the toes, out the fingertips, you know, let it go and then fill it in with white light.
See, and it's funny because it drives Sandy nuts because, and I was never one, when I lived in Chicago, I didn't walk around barefoot. Mm-hmm. When I live here in Florida, I don't wear shoes. I have a pair of Birkenstocks or I'm barefoot because of my feet. I feel uncomfortable unless my feet are grounded to the earth.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, there's something I try to do most days, go outside off of asphalt or anything else and ground with bare feet, even when it's cold outside. It's rare that if I am in my house, I do not have shoes on. I don't care what temperature it is.
Yeah.
As soon as I get home from anywhere, my shoes come off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, I'll drive the car bare. Sandy yells at me. She's like, if we ever get pulled over, it's like, well, I don't plan on getting pulled over. And she's like, well, what if we get in an accident? It's like, well, then I'm going to the hospital anyways. I don't care. They're going to cut my, but I don't wear it. I've been known on many occasions. I just don't wear shit because I feel uneasy when my feet are not attached to the earth. I don't feel does that make sense?
Individual.
I don't feel grounded.
Yeah.
I just don't feel complete. I don't feel when my toes are touching the earth and I feel that energy. Like you said, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Well, there's there's a polarity. Our bodies have a polarity and the earth has a polarity, and the earth's polarity helps to ground us and keep our energy flowing correctly. So it's no wonder that you like to be connected.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Now, I know the answer to this one because I think you've already demonstrated it a couple times tonight. Do you have issues with electronic devices where you drain the batteries or you control them like remote stuff?
Yes. I've had to learn to be very patient with my computers and my technology. And for the most part, I just try to keep them away from my body.
Sure.
But yes,
because I mean,
the electromagnetic frequency that I radiate, computers kind of tend to have issues. And so when that happens, I just kind of walk away for a little while and let them figure it out and come back.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, I think we already had, because I've had this phone system. It's a digital system and I've never had it disconnect. Never.
Oh, really?
I've never in the life that has been running. Yeah. And it's done it twice already. And it's just amazing. And then the other thing too is I think because we have this, it's a system that controls our radio, portion, all of the audio playbacks and stuff. And I will tell you this, that audio system, now we've had issues where it did programming wrong. It's garbage in, garbage out kind of stuff. And we fixed the programming. But in this case, I don't know, when your phone dropped at the same time, the audio system here in the studio stopped working. It just stopped as well.
Oh, really?
And then on top of that, let me kind of tell you what you're doing. Thanks, Keri. You're really messing up the show around here.
Sorry, I apologize.
No, because on top of that, we have a system that feeds our video, goes into one system, and then that system feeds out to Periscope, to YouTube, and to Facebook Live. Well, that system at the same time crashed as well. I kid you not. I'm sitting here looking at it and it's like
synapses are getting fried.
Yeah, you're sending energy. It was fun. I was on the phone with Sasha one night and she accused me of sending energy to her. And now I think it's you. You're actually sending energy to us, and my computers are going up. But it's all right. It happens. I don't care. It's kind of cool, actually. I used to use words like weird and strange, and now I use words like that is fascinating. That is really cool.
It's fascinating.
That's just extraordinary. My whole vocabulary vernacular has changed since doing these shows. We truly
live. I mean, we are amazing beings, and we live just in an incredible world. And the more you learn about energy and the more you learn about how energy works and the laws of the universe, so many more possibilities open up to our three-dimensional world. That's just, it's mind-boggling. It truly is.
Yeah. We're definitely energy creatures. I mean, you're right. We're one big walk from like Matrix. I hate to bring that up, but it's, I think, a good parallel. The movie Matrix. I mean, we're nothing but one big battery.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
full of salt water and stuff.
Us, our pets, the animals in the earth. You know, I had a client a little earlier that was in some distress, and my dogs immediately went over to them, and we're just there, you know, on their body, putting their heads on the person to help them feel better. You know, that's because they are, as we are, animals are even more energy sensitive than most human beings.
Yeah. Well,
and they will go to them and try to help them with their vibration.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you think about it, animals just worry about the basic. Well, my dogs, when am I going to eat, and when are you going to take me outside? That's, you know, and so if and I don't want to be, how do I say this? I don't want to be insensitive, but I've always said a guy like Hawkins, who is just a brilliant, I mean, obviously just a brilliant man. I mean, he is our generation's Einstein. The fact that he has
was in my
this.
husband's dreams the other night, but yeah.
What's this?
I said he was in my husband's dream the other night.
Oh, really?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, that is strange. Well, I hope nothing's going to happen, because I was thinking about this as well with Hawkins. I've been thinking about Stephen Hawking for a while. Well, for the last couple of days. I was thinking that the amount, because, you know, when people like lose eyesight, you hear these stories where their hearing gets better. When they lose their hearing, their eyesight gets better. So a person like Stephen Hawking, who is basically, his mind is free, you know, unfortunately because of his circumstances, his disease, but his mind is completely free. I can only imagine the amount of information that just flows through him on a daily basis, because he, you know, we use things like, you know, what's a normal day? Alarm clock goes up. We got to wake up. You know, what are we going to wear? How are we going to brush our teeth, take a shower? You know, all of these things that we're kind of a slave to, that distracts us from pure thought. And the fact that he can have pure thought, and I think it shows.
Not only pure thought, but pure reception. You know, going back to the chitta vritti of the monkey mind, you know, we as humans, we tend to think constantly. And most of the time, we're not even aware of what it is we are thinking until our emotion kicks in, and we either go, wow, I feel really good. Why do I feel so good today? Well, chances are maybe you've been thinking really good thoughts. Or all of a sudden, you're like, man, I just feel terrible. I feel kind of sad and a little upset. And we're not even realizing that we've been playing some negative scenario in our head for a while. And so the more we can come to that space of pure silence, we can receive so much information of what's going on in the universe. And so I would imagine Stephen Hawking, because I know people that I work with that are either paraplegic or quadriplegic, their sensory perception is so much more vast than humans who have all of their senses of, you know, taste, touch, feel, walking around in this world, have, because, you know, they're forced to sit still. And if you don't learn to quiet your mind in that situation, you'll go crazy, you know. So they have trained themselves to be quiet, to be able to become better aware of what's going on around them. And so it really serves us well. You know, I had someone said something that praying is talking to God and meditation is listening. And so I say, you know, praying is putting out there into the universe, and meditation is listening to what Spirit is trying to get through to us to tell us. And the times that I've really been aware and listened, my life has taken off in directions that have just been unimaginably great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's another segment. We're just blowing through these. This is just fascinating. It tells me it's just fascinating conversation when this is painless, except when you disconnect. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back.
I'll try not to do it.
What's
anything to disconnect.
Yeah, we get disconnected.
Try not to do anything to disconnect.
Yeah, put the phone down. Step away from the phone.
Step away from the phone.
Step away from the phone. Don't touch it. But we're joining our good friend on the phone line. Keri Campbell is joining us as we're talking about Reiki, energy, human energy, all sorts of things. And I have some more probing questions. And, we'll talk about what we can do to improve our energy when we return with our very special guest, Keri Campbell.
The supernatural is not selective. A scientist working in his laboratory, a housewife bent over her ironing board, all these and many others have, at one time or another, been the central figures in mysterious events. And bewildering things have even been known to happen to a young man hurrying to keep a date with his best girl.
Leonard Wadham, a resident of Walworth, South London, was a respectable young man of regular habits. He was, like most young men of his age, in love. And on the evening of September 27th, he had called the object of his affection on the telephone to confirm an appointment.
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock in front of St. Benedict's Cathedral. Don't be late. How could I be late when I'm meeting you, Ellen? I'll be there at 9 o'clock sharp.
It was only a 15-minute walk from his home to St. Benedict's Cathedral. But just to be on the safe side, he started out at 8:30. It was only a 15-minute walk from his home. When he was still several blocks away from the meeting place, he chanced to glance up, and he noticed the clock in the cathedral spire.
Not quite 9:15. I've only got a couple of more minutes to go. She's the one who's going to keep me waiting. Oh, I say now. What's happening? What's happening to me anyhow?
On this same evening, near the village of Dunstable, not far from London, Patrolman Gibbons of the Dunstable Police Force was covering his beat.
Hello. What's this? Some bloke standing right in the middle of the highway. Looks like he don't even know where he is. Intoxicated, I'll bet he's yelling. Hey, you there! What are you doing in the middle of a fair?
Well, I don't exactly know. That is,
You want to get hit or something?
No, but officer, would you mind telling me what I am?
I can tell you where you ought to be, home in bed, in your condition.
My condition? You don't think I'm drunk, officer? I haven't had a drop.
And what is the matter with you?
I don't know. Something happened to me. Something strange and mysterious like. The landscape, it brought it out. The street and the cathedral and everything.
What street? What cathedral?
St. Benedict's on South Waterbury.
What? That's in London, ain't it?
Aye, and that's where I was.
Well, you're not there now. You're in Dunstable.
Dunstable? Why, that's 30 miles from London. But how did I get here? I don't remember coming here at all.
Oh, it sounds like amnesia to me.
Aye, that must be it. But how am I going to explain it to Ellen? I was to meet her at 9 o'clock sharp, and here I am 30 miles away, and it must be midnight.
And what makes you think it's midnight?
Well, it was just 17 minutes to 9 when I looked at the clock on St. Benedict.
Wait a minute now. Take a look at this watch.
Blimey! It's only 10 minutes to 9!
It is not recorded whether Leonard Wadham was ever able to persuade Ellen of the truth of his story. If she was highly skeptical, it is not to be wondered at. For few women would be likely to believe that a man could be transported, without his knowledge, 30 miles in less than 7 minutes. And yet, if we accept the evidence that was conclusive enough to convince both the Dunstable police and the great London newspaper, those are the facts. Facts. Incredible but true.
This This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network. This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
Now that's how it's supposed to work. That was really bizarre. Well, it's bizarre when things work the way they are. But yes, you are listening to the Midnight Ocean Radio Show and the podcast. I am your host, Jeff Norton, your captain of festivities this evening. I just want to tell everybody thank you for joining us. We appreciate it on your Friday night. I hope you have plans over the weekend. I hope you're planning on doing something that you enjoy. Take time for yourself. That is ever so important. Instead of worrying about others and stuff, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you the pass. Take care of yourself this weekend. Do something special for you. And one of the things you can do if you haven't done so, make yourself feel good, get over to our website, themidnightocean.com. Go over to Movember, the Movember banner, click on that, see what it's all about. If you donate a little bit of time, maybe shave your face, tell people about the movement. We are trying to raise money and awareness for male-related cancers and abnormalities. But like I said, that's very important. But right before, it looks like we got our guest is still on the line. I don't think, Keri, did we lose you during the break?
I am here.
You are here, so there you go. So you put the phone down. That's what happens. Here. And stuff. But no, before we went on break though, and everything, I want to make sure that I get these questions answered because some of the guests or some of the listeners have asked me to ask you this. What can we do as individuals to increase our energy, our healing energy within ourselves?
Yeah. You know, the biggest thing that has to take place within ourselves is a shift in consciousness, a shift in our way of thinking. And, we are such a kind of brain-driven society. We have blocked off many of our emotions and our emotional body. And just the fact that the organ of the heart resonates out further from the body than any other organ, and they can measure now these hertz vibrations with things such as like magnetometers and different technology, just beginning to allow ourselves to believe. Because when we deny ourselves the belief in our healing and the belief in our getting better, we block ourselves off from that. And, the ancient healing method of acupuncture has been around for over 4,000 years. And the yoga and Ayurvedic medicines has referenced the system of nadis or energy channels in the body that run along the similar lines to the Chinese meridians of acupuncture. And now we're finding out through modern technology, through the use of the subcutaneous, under the skin fiber optic cameras of live skin, we can watch this network within the body that runs through the fascia that is this energy transfer system. And the fascial system comes together along the same lines that these nadis or energy channels that have been in acupuncture from 4,000 years ago and yoga and Ayurveda. And so modern technology is proving all of this ancient wisdom that we have intuitively known for eons. But because of our disbelief, we haven't wholeheartedly engaged in them here in the Western culture. And it's time now for us to shift our consciousness to say, my body really is an energy network. It runs on frequency, and I need to start feeding that. And I need to start feeding that by eating more raw foods. Our body actually has an autoimmune response to cooked food. And so if we're eating most of our meals as cooked food, our body is reacting to that, and it's creating a state of inflammation within us. And if we can tip the scales of each plate that we eat to 51% raw food, it shuts that response off, and our body can stay in that mode of not being inflamed and being in that healing state of working towards a higher frequency. In addition to food, through meditation, I mean, I can feel my own when I sit in meditation and I choose to consciously raise my vibration. I can feel that within my body. When people first start doing that, they feel a little bit silly, or they're thinking, oh, this is my imagination. But you truly are. You have control over the frequency to an extent. You know, the human body vibrates within a certain realm of frequency. You can raise that. You can lower that. And the more you meditate and the more you practice and get in the habit of doing that, you can stay in that state of higher frequency all the time.
You know, it's funny that you say that, because when we lived in Chicago, my favorite place to eat was I would get off the train there in the Chase building in downtown Chicago, and there's a place called Chicago Raw. Mm-hmm. And they would cook like spaghetti. It was all raw vegetables. It was all raw food, but they would make it look like spaghetti, or they would make it look like whatever. And it was, it was delicious. I mean, I can tell you, I went, a month and a half where all I did was a juice kind of, a raw juice diet. And I felt phenomenal. And then people are like, well, Jeff, why did you stop doing it? And I'll tell you, food is a drug. It's probably one of the most potent drugs out there. And it's not a good drug. It really
is. I grew up in a restaurant. My husband was a restaurateur. We are foodies. I love to cook. I love to eat. And so when I first started eating more raw food, I became a raw and superfood nutritionist. And people are like, oh my gosh, you eat all raw food? I'm like, no, I could never live that way forever. I've done it for, stints and periods in my time where I was vegan and vegetarian. Yeah. And, now I am what I call a nutritarian. So I try to pack as many nutrients into a meal or into my day as possible. And, food is an emotional experience for a lot of us too. So we have to factor that in, because if we're feeling deprived by trying to stuff our face with all of this raw food, it's going to be a little bit counterproductive. So there needs to be a sense of balance.
But why is that? Because I love carrots. I love celery. I love apples. I love oranges. I love mushrooms, raw. I mean, I am a veg. I love raw broccoli. I love raw cauliflower. I love raw fruits and vegetables. But why is it that when I have the fresh, maybe fix me here, I'll send you a check. When I have in front of me, I have the fresh food, and then I have the pizza. Why is it that I always go for the pizza?
Oh, because the pizza has everything that causes that addiction reaction within our body, especially if it's a pizza that you bought somewhere that has the MSG and the sugar and the salt and all of those things that hit on all of those, neurotransmitters that are linked to an addictive substance. We get that endorphin rush. And so we want to go for the pizza.
Sure. So is there a raw food that provides that? Someone said it was the dark chocolate gives you that same type of feeling. Well,
and I don't know if you have had raw dark chocolate, but that stuff is amazing. I mean, most mornings around here at my house, start with a raw food smoothie, and I take the microgreens and I pack my bullet over halfway full with the microgreens and the raw spinach and the raw kale. And then I put in a little bit of the raw cacao and, some probiotics of that. I love, kefir, and, I make homemade kefir yogurt, and I'll put that in there with some organic blueberries. I try what I focus on a lot is keeping down the sugar, because the sugar in our bodies, it feeds everything that we don't want. And so really, really limiting the sugar and the carbohydrates in your diet is a very good and healthy thing to do for your body. And, fats have been so taboo in Western culture here that we've come to think of fats as making us fat. And they don't do that at all. They actually nourish us. They nourish our brain, especially if they are the good, healthy omega fats that we need. Our brain needs that to be able to function. And so if we really dove in and I consume quite a bit of fat in my daily diet, but I make sure that I stay away from the breads and the pastas and all of that.
That's what kills me. The bread. I'll be honest. I mean, I think that's what gets most Americans. Bread, cheese.
My dad was a bread man. Yeah. My dad was a bread man. So I had all of the bread you could imagine, and I absolutely adore bread. It's one of my favorite food groups. But it can wreak havoc on our bodies for sure. Everything in moderation.
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's what the whole candina that I'm going through right now.
Sugar
is I did not know that without getting with Brendan, he was on here with liver med and I was telling him something, and he goes, "Oh, sick candina," and I did the test, and sure enough, and I'll tell you, since I've but there's a battle going on. I can feel it. It's weird. It's kind of you talk about battle. Yeah. It's like it is. It's like, because as I destroy the candina, that craving for sugar and bread has increased dramatically as I'm killing the.
I'll tell you a little secret. Something that will help is and I do not prescribe or diagnose. I have to put that out there.
Sure.
But what they have found to really help with things that are addicting like that for us is to take niacin. It's going to help level out those cravings. And you can't, it has to be the niacin that makes you itch all over and turn red. It can't be the no-flush niacin. It has to be the regular niacin.
So wait. So what does it make you do? What does niacin make you do?
It's a B vitamin, and it helps to curtail those cravings. When we have something that we're sort of trying to flush out of our body, it can set off kind of an addictive nature or an addictive reaction within us. And the niacin really helps curtail that.
But you said it causes you the real, you got to have the real niacin, not the.
Oh, yes. Well, there's a reason that most of the niacin we buy over the counter is called no flush. Because if you have ever had real niacin, I remember a time years ago when I had taken some niacin, and my daughter, who was 5 at the time, she looked at me, she said, "Mommy, why are you so red?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I took the niacin," and then you'll kind of start to itch. But once the flushing and the itch goes away, you'll kind of find where the dosage is for your body. Your threshold is going to be, after a few days of taking it, you're going to learn, okay, this is how much makes me not flush. And then that's,
okay.
A clue of how much you may or may not need.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll definitely look into that. One of the other things too is that, as we're looking at, and I'll ask you, a good alternative source for protein. I have like the whey protein, but I think that's just as bad as eating bread, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, what is a good protein?
Well,
hemp?
No, I wouldn't say it's just as bad, but honestly, we have come to, I think through bodybuilding and things like that, we've kind of gone protein crazy, and we just really don't need as much protein as we think we do. And honestly, like 2 cups of broccoli has something like 10 grams of protein in it. And so even though you're eating a lot of vegetables, you're getting some protein from the vegetables.
Oh.
And there are other forms of protein, like weight of the nutritional aspect of like chia seeds. That's a good protein source. The hemp seeds are a great protein source. Seeds in general, but you want to make sure that the seeds are wonderful, and nuts that you're eating are raw, because if they're getting toasted, then a lot of the essential oils that are good for us are being roasted out of them, and there's a chemical change that happens within the nuts when you roast them, so that you don't get as many of the nutrients. But there are so many protein sources that, and lentils. Lentils are one of the better legumes because they're a little lower in carbohydrate and more easily digestible protein.
Okay. I know to stay away from the soybean because most soybean here in the United States is GMO. And so you
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is sad because I've got hemp powder. It's horrible tasting, but it is. No one said it had to be good, delicious. I don't know though. I mean, I did the juicing. I did the carrot with celery, with ginger, an apple, a lemon. What am I? Oh, kale or spinach. I love that juice. I loved it, but like I said.
Go ahead.
No, like I said, though, like I told you, I can eat all of that, all of the vegetables, green bean, everything raw. I can eat it raw, but by God, when you put a freaking pizza in front of me or a taco from, I won't say their name because I don't want to get sued. I always reach for that. And it just frustrates me because I like the other stuff. It's not that I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've gone, I found that the more consistent I am throughout my week and month of eating really healthy foods, if I go through a lapse, like if I go through a time where I go on a trip and I have 3 or 4 mornings without a smoothie, I am craving that smoothie by the end of the 3rd or 4th day. Like, I just want to get home and get a smoothie because your body gets used to that, nutrient saturation. And it's such a good place for us to live in. But, we still, that yummy pizza still sets off those, good endorphins.
Oh, it's a drug.
Is it that dopamine or the tryptophan?
It's a drug. I've had lawyers.
Yes.
I've had lawyers say, hey, look, whenever you're ready to sue the food industry, let us know. Because if you know my past, when I was younger, I had, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I was addictive personality, and I fought some pretty vicious demons when I was younger. And,
well, good for you for winning.
Thank you. Yeah, well, you never win. It's just that you learn to, you learn just not to play the game anymore. That's what it is. You never win. It's just that you just don't step in the arena with it. And my thing is which is bizarre because these are, like I said, my attorney friends are like, look, you have a long history of this. And, I've been clean 30-something, almost 30 years. And it's funny because, the reality of it is that when it comes to food, though, I can't, I love the pastas. It's weird. It's just a bizarre, I equate it to an addiction. I equate it to the same addiction that I had when I was younger. I get angry. Sandy's like, she like that Snickers commercial. I'm that guy. When I'm hungry, I'm that guy. And you got to feed me or I get.
I'm telling you, go grab some niacin.
Go grab some niacin. I'm going to try it out. I mean, look, I am game. And if we could figure this out, it's kind of like I'm your little science project. All my guests' little science projects. Because and I'll report back to you, but I'll try it. I will tell you though.
Yeah.
Since I've been doing the Candina, the liver medic Candina, and since I've been taking that to destroy that, there is definitely a battle. It is not going down without a fight, but it's going down. I mean, I'm winning. Yeah. And, but
good.
Well, I can tell if I miss a pill or, one of the daily doses and stuff, I know instantly. I mean, I know instantly. And it's so I stay on top of it.
Well, the beautiful thing about that is it's kind of, it's putting you in a place where you're becoming more and more aware of the operation of your body and how it's responding to things. Yeah. And when something in our body starts to bother us or hurt us or is dysfunctional, we disassociate from it and we try to ignore it, thinking that'll make it go away. And so we detach from it, and that kind of cuts off our natural healing mechanisms. So it's great that you're becoming back in touch with all of that. And sometimes we have to go through that little dark place to get out the other side.
A few times. Go through it a few times. And so I think it will be. So what's your take as a nutritionist on on fruits? Stay away from them? You said stay away from the sugars.
I really, for my own self, I feel much better if I don't eat a lot of fruits. I eat berries. We have berries that grow like crazy around up here in northern Washington, and apples. And when they're in season here where I live, I'll eat a little bit. I have blueberries pretty much every day, but they're a low glycemic fruit, so they aren't going to spike that blood sugar. And when apples or pears are in season here, I'll have, an apple maybe a couple times a week. But, when you're consuming such a variety of vegetables, you're covering your bases. And especially if you're in a situation where you're trying to kick that sugar habit and get that craving out of your body, that sweetness of the fruit is just kind of instigate that.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, like I said, I did the juicing. One of the things, though, I learned very quickly, and I had a buddy who took some juice. You got to make sure that your juice, that your vegetables, that they're rinsed well, and that because you do get a massive dose of pesticides if you don't.
You can. I don't really advocate a whole lot of juicing. I much prefer what I have is the bullet.
Yeah.
Or a Vitamix. And so you want to eat the whole food. If you are eating the fruit, you want to eat the whole fruit because there are things in the skin. And you want to, if you are juicing or blending, you want to buy organic. And even wash your organic because you want to make sure that you're getting clean food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you juice, you're taking out all of the fiber, and the fiber is actually what helps counteract the sugar content in your body. So kind of helps out the pancreas and the liver with processing the sugars that you do get from the fruit.
Well, one of the things that we used to do is with the pulp from the juice, except for the lemon rind and stuff, but like the celery and we would actually make chips out of that and freeze dried. So we would take that stuff and then, because it comes out, like you said, it's a fibrous kind of content. We would mash that down and put it on the freeze dryer and then make little chips from it.
Yeah. I used to make dog biscuits with it.
There you go. Is that Sandy's? Is that what she's feeding me? Dog biscuits? I know.
Dog biscuits.
Well, you learn to use everything, but yeah, you got to be very careful. And I'm warning for anybody out there who's juicing, because I had a buddy who was and he, I would just buy my vegetables in the grocery store, and he took a sample of my juice, my green juice, my monster juice, and they tested it, and it had high levels of chemicals in it, because what happens is that all the chemicals that they use for fertilizer and stuff and it's a high concentration of it where, normally, like you said, it's mixed up with the fiber. So.
Yeah. Well, especially those leafy greens, they soak it in. So leafy greens and berries are some of the most important, and broccoli to buy organic.
Yeah.
Because those kinds of vegetables really soak in whatever is sprayed on them.
Well, strawberries down here, I tell people, we have the big strawberry season, and I'm like, stay away from those, because they are just harvest of pesticides and
soaked in.
Bad stuff. Bad stuff. But, so
unimaginable that they spray poison on our food.
It's amazing. It's amazing. We put it in our water too. A chemical. Can you imagine this? So I just don't understand the thinking of the world where we have a guy who was the guy who developed the death camps for the Nazis, used the chemicals to kill fluoride and stuff. And he came here to the United States.
Dumb them down.
Yeah. And then he came here to the United States and said, oh, by the way, you can put that in your water system.
Yeah.
Let's put a chemical fluoride. Yeah. That eats your brain and stuff.
Right. Calcifies the pineal gland.
Exactly. Keri, can you stay on for one more segment? Can you stay on? Because I do have more questions.
Sure.
Are you good? Okay. We're going to take a quick. Yep. We'll take a quick break. Put the phone down during the break, Keri.
Away from the phone.
And step away from the phone. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and have more questions. You have questions for our guest, Keri Campbell. Put them in the chat room. We'd love to hear from you. I'll make sure they get passed on. And yes, Jeremy, we are, instead of doing the vignettes every break, we are going to mix those up, but it does have to be programmed. That was my job this weekend. Thanks for calling me out on that one. We'll be back in a minute.
The spot where the O'Rourke family had lived for almost 100 years was known as Island McGee. The long, narrow, hilly road that stretched between high-thorn hedges to the nearby town bore the name of No-Head Loanin. Each Monday morning, it was Kathleen O'Rourke's custom to walk down the Loanin to the village post office. Since she started out at an early hour, the road was usually deserted. But on a certain morning in June, as she passed the cottage of her neighbor Molly Donovan, she saw Molly standing at the gate beckoning to her.
Kathleen, you wouldn't be going for the post now, would you, darling?
That I would, Molly.
And could you be doing a great favor for me while you're there now? It's my brother, Patrick. 3 months he's gone now, Kathleen, and not a word has he written me. And I'm that worried about him.
So you'd be wanting me to inquire at the post office if there's a letter waiting for you?
That's it. If it's not too much to be asking you.
Tis nothing at all, Molly. Wait right here. I'll be back.
And Kathleen O'Rourke continued along the road. At the post office, she collected her family's mail, but the postmaster shook his head and said there was nothing for the Donovan household. And so Kathleen turned back toward home. And it was then, just after she'd passed the outskirts of the village and started up the No-Head Loanin, it was then that she saw the man. He was tall. She had a feeling that he was handsome. A few moments later, she stood at Molly Donovan's gate.
No word from the brother?
No word and nothing at all.
Oh, heaven help him. Now I am worried for sure.
But Kathleen O'Rourke did not stay to reassure her neighbor. She sped quickly on toward home, and only when she reached the top of the hill did she stop to look behind her.
Well, now, what do you know? I thought the lad was a stranger in these parts. But there he is, standing at the gate, talking to Molly Donovan.
It was not until the following Monday, when she passed by the Donovan cottage again, that she had a chance to ask Molly a few questions.
What now, Molly? The lad that was walking right behind me last Monday morning?
I saw no lad, Kathleen.
How can you say that, Molly? You know yourself he stopped to talk to you.
It's mistaken, yeah, lass. No one said a word to me that morning, besides yourself.
But I saw him with my own eyes. He was standing here at this gate.
If this is some joke you're playing, darling, you're picking a poor time for it. Sure, and my heart's too heavy even for that. 'Tis my brother, Patrick. We heard last night. He's gone, darling. Washed overboard. Lost at sea. It happened early last Monday morning. He must have died just when you were running up No-Head Loanin.
Yes, Molly Donovan's brother died at the very moment the strange young man appeared on the road behind Kathleen O'Rourke. And though Kathleen saw that man following after her, saw him stop at the gate and talk to Molly, Molly herself was unaware of his presence. This is only one of many such stories out of the country of error on the road behind Kathleen. A story incredible but true.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
Out of the annals of the strange and the incredible, accounts of nightmarish creatures often appear to challenge our credulity.
This is the Midnight Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.
That is right, Andrew. It is the Midnight Ocean radio show and a podcast. I am your host, Jeff Norton. You can join us here every weeknight from Monday through Friday. Yeah, that would be weeknights from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or on the web at www.themidnightocean.com. If you're joining us for the very first time on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to us on Spreaker and you have not gone over to YouTube, get on over there and hit the subscribe button. And on the way out, though, make sure you hit the follow button in Spreaker. A lot of instructions there you need to follow. That would help us out tremendously. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at the MN Ocean, at the MN Ocean, Minnesota Ocean. Such a place. Who knows? Climate change is coming. It could happen. And of course, if you're following us on Facebook Live, you can click there. Make sure you share our show with your friends. If everybody, I've always said this, that if everybody that listens to the show right now, today, who's going to listen to the show either today or tomorrow, would send out 5 shares apiece about our show, we would be an equivalent to a mid-market radio. In other words, as far as listenership goes. Right now, we're a small market. We're an AM. We're getting there, though. It didn't happen overnight for Art Bell. You know, many years. Started as a very young man. And so I get it. This is a long-term project, and I am very committed to it. We both, Sandy and I, and the Norton household is committed to this project. But we do need your help. I'm not bashful. I'm going to tell you, we need your help. And the only way that we can do this is by you sharing with your friends and family. The other thing you can do, and believe it or not, I am open for criticism. If you have some criticism, critiques of the show, hey, man, I'm a big boy. You ain't going to hurt my feelings. I'm not going to go home crying. I'm not going to take my toys out of the sandbox and go home and stuff. But that's how we get better. We need to reach out. We need to learn that in life. Life should be interactive. And who knows? We should, who knows? The person that gives you the best advice might be just around the corner. So we do welcome your critiques and your advice and all of those observations that you guys do for us daily. I don't care. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But before we say goodnight to our guests, I do have some more questions, and we'll get right to those really quickly because I know, Keri, you probably have other things you'd rather be doing on a Friday night than sitting on the air with me and our listeners. Well,
my bedtime's 25 minutes away. So
okay, well, there you go. So there you go. All right, so here we go. I just want to make sure, because there's some concepts here some things that you do, and we touched on them briefly, but I want to make sure that I understand and our listeners understand. So cranial-sacral therapy, is that what, is that? Go ahead.
Cranial-sacral.
Cranial-sacral therapy. What is that?
Well, we have a fluid that pulses through our spinal column, and this spinal fluid is, in a large part, what is addressed through cranial-sacral therapy, because that can get, the pulsation of it can get a little bit off with blockages. And our brain, our skull, we think of it as kind of a solid thing that we only have this little soft spot when we're born that can push in, and then once that kind of, grows over, hardens, then the bone structure in our brain is solidified and it doesn't move. But that's really not true. They did an experiment for the sake of cranial-sacral therapy to prove a point. And they put a substance inside of a cadaver brain that swells when it dries, as the liquid dries. And as this substance swelled, well, guess what? The brain came apart at all of the suture points. So they are not solidified. So the sutures in our brain that we have in our skull can have small little micro movements. And oftentimes these micro movements can have phenomenal effect on the wellness of our brain and our body to get this cerebral spinal fluid pulsing through our body correctly. And so as a therapist, what we do for the most part is we hold our hands underneath the head, and we feel for that gentle pulse. It's different from the pulse of the heart. It's kind of more of an ebb and a flow. And once we feel that, you kind of gently hold the head in a certain position to kind of meet that flow where it is and move through the pulse to then come back and get it back on a regular flow the way it is supposed to be. And then in addition to that, small micro movements of the plates in the skull help to relieve pressure. It can just pulling on the frontal plate of our skull can relieve migraines. That works better with my clients who suffer from migraines than almost anything else.
Sure. I mean, I can see that. I mean, I've heard of people, with inside the brain or whatever, because there's only a very small amount of space between your brain and your skull, correct?
Right. Correct.
And that fluid is kind of like that fills that space.
And that little cushion.
Okay. And so if that is, if your brain, I didn't want to say, but if your brain's pushed forward and it excretes that fluid so you don't have a constant flow over your brain, okay, I'm with you. I'm with you. So what is that fluid?
And a lot of times really what happens is, too, with the cranial-sacral therapy, a lot of what is happening is the release of the fascia. Because when the fascia becomes constricted, that natural pulse can't happen freely.
Sure.
And so with applying that extended pressure, it takes 90 seconds for the fabric of the fascia and the muscles to begin to release and let go. And, I can just about guarantee you if you have a headache that's kind of in the front of your head and you just take your hands gently on either side above your eyebrows to the side, to the edge of your eyebrows, and just sit there and just gently pull forward. It's like a nickel weight of pressure, very, very soft. And you just sit there and you pull forward for about 2 to 5 minutes. You're going to get some great relief. Yeah.
I'll have to try that. I'm not one that suffers from headaches, but Sandy does. So I'll have to try that on her and everything.
Definitely.
Now
thank you for it.
That fluid, she's always like, just rub my, and actually I do that now because she's like, rub my head right here. And that, I'm thinking about it. That's, what is that fluid made of? What is it? Do you know what it's consistent?
I do not know the molecular qualities of the cerebrospinal fluid.
Sure.
No.
I was just wondering if there's a way that you can, do you see where people are deficient? Like, where you touch them or whatever and you feel that pulse and it's not there?
I've never felt it not there.
Okay.
Not on my clients. Usually what happens is it's a feeling of it being a little bit sporadic, doesn't have a regular cadence to it. So naturally though, if we are dehydrated, just like the fluid that's in our joints, oftentimes if we're dehydrated, our joints are going to ache more, because the bursa sac in our fluid or in our joints are dehydrated because there's fluid within the joints that helps keep everything lubricated and moving freely. So another reason why it's important to drink a lot of clean, healthy water.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to ask you, because how much water should a person drink?
I try to drink at least 6 to 8 glasses of water a day, but I also eat a lot. Like if you're, drinking juice that's from celery, or if they're eating melon, or, you're drinking tea that's not caffeinated, you're getting water and liquid through all of those things too.
Sure.
So, really, they say the key is as long as you're peeing clear water once a day, you're good.
Okay.
If and you gauge by the color of your urine. If it's kind of yellow, then you need to drink some more water.
Okay. Well, actually, that's a good point, because I was doing the water thing, but I was having to drink so much that because they do it by your weight. And I was like, well, and it's like a guy like me. I mean, I was drinking literally, based upon my weight, I was drinking 32-ounce glasses, 11 of them a day.
Oh, that's a lot of water. That's too much water.
That's what I thought too. That's what I thought too. I was like, this is a little extreme. I mean, it was one of those things where I was spending time either at the drinking fountain or in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not, it wasn't pleasurable at all. But water with lemon is my thing now. I do lemon because I think that helps as well.
And I have come to crave water with lemon and ginger, and I just put it in my bullet and blend up the lemon and the ginger together. And that's just, it's so hydrating and refreshing. And even in the winter, the ginger kind of adds the aspect of that warmth. And ginger is showing phenomenal results right now in combating cancer cells. So
I love raw ginger. Yeah, I love raw ginger. It's one of my favorite. Now, with your bullet, do you, I mean, when you say your lemon, do you do the whole lemon or the rind, or do you peel the lemon, or do you use the whole rind and everything?
I will usually do like half with the rind and half without when I juice that into my bullet.
Wow.
It actually kind of tones the lemon down a little bit. I know that may sound strange, but I don't know if you've noticed, if you put the rind in yours, you want to make sure, first of all, if you're putting the rind in there, that it's organic, because you don't want all that waxy, pesticide-y stuff going into your water. But lots of nutrients there in that, and wonderful for helping the system move towards being more alkaline.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't do the rind. Well, I do the juice, so it kicks the rind out. But I'm not really, all right, so I'm going to ask, and, this is endorsement or not. So you have a NutriBullet and you have a Vitamix. What one do you like best?
I do. I love my bullet I use for daily, every morning. I use my Bullet RX for the smoothies. But what the Vitamix is great for is making large pots of soup and desserts.
Okay.
One of my favorite things is.
Yeah, we have a Ninja, but we use it to make margaritas. Mm-hmm. That's
that probably works too. I have been known to use my bullet to make a really awesome hollandaise sauce also. So
there you go. Yeah, that was the thing, is that we bought the Ninja, and I don't think it's on the same lines as the bullet, but I was looking at the vitamin. I have a the juicer that I have is a high end. How do I say? It's not the centrifugal juicer. It's the actual compression juicer.
That's what I had. Yes.
Yeah. So you get everything. I mean, you get everything. Right. It's great for making almond butter. Oh my goodness.
They are. Well, and that's the best kind to have, because they say it doesn't really, it doesn't tear apart the cell wall of the plant or the vegetable before it gets to your body. So you get more of the nutrients. The nutrients live longer in the glass. So.
Yeah. Well, you can, and that was the thing, is I had one of those centrifugal juicers, but you do the juice and it would turn brown like 30 minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
And the juice that I get out of this machine, the green machine, it will, it literally, I can put it in a thermos or whatever, and it's still green by the end of the day. I mean, yeah. So you can do a whole batch where the other ones.
The planter.
Yeah. So, wow. Can you believe that we've talked this long? It's already,
I know. It's been great fun.
It's a good.
And hopefully it has helped someone out there.
Well, it's helped me. I don't care about anybody else. I'm just being selfish. I don't do these radio shows for everybody else. I can care less about my listeners like Jeremy in the Spreaker chat room.
We know that's not true.
I know. They joke. I kid. No, but it is. And that's why, I think it's important. I use myself, people must think, thank God Obamacare or whatever doesn't listen to the radio show, because they're like, we're not insuring this guy. He's dying over here. But, I think all of us have issues, and, I don't mind being the guinea pig. I don't mind, being the guy. And so I'm going to try it's called Niacin, right? Niacin. I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah.
I'm writing it down.
Niacin.
Niacin. And you said just PRN, right? So just kind of take it until you get flush and kind of back off a little bit.
That's the way I like to do it, and that's the way I was taught to do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then the thing, now do you take that whenever you have cravings, or you just take it on like a regular basis?
I like to use it as just a daily supplement.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I'm gonna try. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try, and then I will. Yeah. Jeremy said the same thing in the chat room. He said make sure you get the non-flush stuff. Yeah. Yes. Get the non-flush.
No, don't get the non-flush. It won't work. It doesn't work.
Oh, get the flush. You want the stuff that's going to flush you.
Flush.
Okay.
You want to get the stuff that flushes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, is it flush because it increases your heart rate? Do you have to be concerned about heart issues?
I would, if you do have heart issues, I would look into any contraindications that it might have. Not being a doctor myself.
Yeah.
I cannot say,
I'm not going to hold you to it.
Yay or nay, or say that I am in no way prescribing this.
No. I wouldn't. And we're not doctors.
In my research, this is what, I find works very well for, other clients and myself.
Yeah. It's really funny, and it's funny you say that. And yes, we have to point out to the people that are listening, we are not doctors. We don't play. We didn't sleep at a Holiday Inn Express, and we're not playing as one. Get with your own healthcare professional and see what works for you. Yeah. And I'll tell you what works for me, but what works for me necessarily will not work for you. Right. So check it out with your doctor. Make sure you're always consulted. It's crazy, Keri, that we have to do that, because I am actually, well, let me tell you a story. We were going to do an exorcism live on the air. On the air, we were going to do an exorcism as part of, as part of a show. I have a friend who's an exorcist, and we were going to do it. And the lawyers came out of their skin, literally. Said, you cannot do that on the air. And I'm like, why? And they're like, you want to get sued? Because there are people that believe that demon or whatever you exorcise can come out and through the airwaves and possess them. And they will sue you. And I'm like, are you kidding? So I told him, I said, but that would be a good thing, because that lawsuit, in order for that to go forth, would be one of those lawsuits in which the government would then have to acknowledge that there are demons.
Acknowledge. Right.
Because how can you sue me on something that doesn't exist? So I was like, that might not be a bad deal. But we just have, it's crazy. Even late night radio, like what we do here, we have to be careful, because someone can.
Interesting world we live in.
Yes, litigious. It doesn't make it right. The merits and stuff don't make it right, but, that doesn't mean it can't happen. So yes, please check with your healthcare professional. Do not go out and buy this stuff and take it on your own. Get with your doctors, get with, your healthcare, whoever that may be, and at your own risk.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
Well, I know that you have a hard stop now. Is there anything that we have left off or anything that you want to talk about for the last 10 minutes?
I just really would like to impress upon the listening audience to begin taking their healing into their own hands and just really begin getting honest with themselves. Our ego kind of gets in the way a lot and keeps us from acknowledging oftentimes what's really going on within our body, mind, and our spirit. And the more that we can come to terms to that and begin having more compassion for ourselves and letting that leak out to everyone around us, the more beautiful our life is going to become. And just taking the time to become quiet and feed our mind and heart and body with all that is good, and begin moving away from the vices that we have, slowly but surely, and working towards a more holistic lifestyle of, good food, good stuff we put in our brains, and thinking good thoughts, and catching ourselves when we begin to play that negative tape in our head. If we're dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, then we're not here in this moment. And most often in this moment, everything's pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
So, yeah. And so if we can really, truly, then it's really all about discipline. It's all about discipline. A lot of times we say, well, I just can't do it. And you just have to begin to not take that from yourself and just go, yes, we can. Yeah, we can. And we're going to, because this is what we need. And this is what's best for us and what's best for all of those that share this space around us.
Yeah.
And,
it's funny. Yeah. I tell my friends, if you want to be a Jedi warrior, this is where the training begins, right? And if you want to, and it starts with getting yourself right. I got to listen to myself sometimes too, but it's a journey. Yeah. I mean, it is a journey, and
it is.
And we got to start one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, and starting in that place of true compassion, for ourselves, for others, and really catching ourselves when we're judging ourselves or judging someone we love or someone that we maybe don't particularly, and just stopping ourselves and saying, no, I'm not. I'm going to choose not to do that anymore.
Yeah. That is so true. I mean, one of the greatest things is, love thyself and then love thy neighbor as thyself, right? That's one of the greatest commandments that you ever be given. Yeah. Is first you got to learn to love yourself. And then once you love yourself, then you treat your neighbor as yourself. And it's a beautiful, that's one of the transformations I'm going through is instead of looking at someone and getting frustrating with them, is trying to empathize with them, understand where they're coming from. You don't know. I do this constantly now when I'm driving, when someone cuts me off. Mm-hmm. It's like, instead of getting angry at them or saying, blah, 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 sit there and go, you don't know if they're going to the hospital. You don't know if something bad happened in their life. They just lost their job, something, cut people slack. We got to learn to start cutting people slack. And those,
exactly.
And not be so critical. And that comes back, that definitely comes back, and that karma thing, positive energy is, positive energy is always going to be positive. You put negative energy in your life, negative energy always disrupts positive energy. So
good frequency out means good frequency back.
There you go. Well, Keri, once again, our listeners can reach you at your clinic. if they want to make the trip. What's your email address, or not your email, your web address?
Yeah. My web address is advancedenergymedicine.org.
Advancedenergymedicine.org. All right. We got it.
Yeah. And I do distance and energy healing sessions and coaching sessions. So
yeah,
you don't have to live right here in good old Squim.
Well, obviously you do. You did a number on my computers.
Yeah, there you go. and I got all your energy flowing out your feet.
That's right. All my energy is flowing out my feet, and you jacked up my computers. I appreciate it, Keri. You take care of yourself. Have a great weekend.
You too.
And take care of yourself this weekend. Don't worry about other people. Spend some time with yourself. I always tell people that. Do something good for Keri this weekend. All right.
Well, thank you, Jeff, and you likewise.
All right. Be well. Be well.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now. So there you go. Our very special guest, Keri Campbell, joining us. And you, like I said, you can get more information about Keri and Advanced Energy Medicine, her clinic over here, if you go to our website at themidnightocean.com. Go to the guest page. I'd love, follow up, send her a message. Tell her that you heard about her on the show and appreciate her joining us. That's always, a cool thing when our guests hear from our listeners, and it lets them know that the message, got out there and that people actually heard it. But, well, ladies and gents, it is one of those nights. It's Friday night. And as those that are common listeners, we don't tend to stay on for the full 4 hours. We just kind of hang out. I will reset the system here. If you'd like to call in, let me go ahead and get the listener lines set up. It is open. It will be open topic, so you can discuss anything you want. I prefer to stay away from politics, but if you want to talk politics, that's okay. We can do it. The number is 352-388-3900. That's area code 352-388-3900. Feel free to call in on your cell phone or your landline, whatever. If you'd like to Skype us, you can always look up TMO Listener. That's TMO Listener on the Skype line as well. And you can Skype into the studio, and it's open topic. I will discuss anything you want to discuss. So, wow. Next week's going to be crazy, my friends. As you know, we're doing the general election. I will tell you, as you guys know, some of you may or may not know, my day job is telecommunications. And I do deal with a lot of security issues in telecommunications. And I will tell you what is going out around is that there's probably going to be another major DNS attack like there was last week. There will be another one coming up here next week. And I just want you guys, just go to the bank, take out a couple $100, make sure you have cash with you. Cash is king, and make sure you have that. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sounding the alarms, and I'm not, mongering and making it where I just, it's okay to have a backup plan. No conspiracy theories here. It's all based upon fact. It's, we get these little bulletins every once in a while that say, hey, look, this is what's going on. And especially when we are in charge of securing some of the telecommunications servers out there from some major industries and stuff. I'm just going to let you guys know that we're aware. And so I'm making you aware. Wow. What a show. Keri, what a week. What a week. We learned some things this week. I really, really enjoy the old time radio. We are going to split off another channel though for the old time radio. I made that decision, and we're going to be getting that set up. So what that's going to be is it's going to be its own channel. We're going to keep obviously the Midnight Ocean show the way it is, with guests and everything. Now, every once in a while, we will play the audio shows from old time radio. And that's usually because we don't have a guest scheduled and we don't have any callers calling in, but we'll always give you guys the opportunity to call in before we play the old time radio shows. I'd rather do that than do like repeats of shows, and everything. So yes, we will be, playing some of the older shows from now and time again. But most of the time it will be all the guests. We'll be filling those up. I'm getting the rest of this month filled up, and I will have those all filled up probably by Tuesday next week. So, and then we'll start filling up for the month of December. It's amazing the response that we're getting. And that's all just because of the great guests that we get. I've always said a great show is always driven because of the great guests. And Keri is no exception to that. I mean, she's incredible. Had it, pretty laid back. And it was cool. Learned a lot from that conversation. Got me motivated. I don't know about you, but I'm motivated to do some things and make some changes over the weekend as well. Well, since I have no takers on the call-in line, 352-388-3900, I think we are going to give you guys back the rest of your evening. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And Jeremy, by the way, welcome, my friend. This is the first time. Welcome to the show. And of course, Deb, you're always appreciated. I hope your meeting this weekend goes well for you with MUFON. Terry B, of course, and then 1990 Sunbird, in the other chat room. Thank you for your participation and everything. Well, I think I am going to take a couple, I'm going to do something for me. How's that sound? I'm going to do, we're going to end the show and I'm going to do something that I haven't done in years. It's been about a year to a year and a half. And I'm going to play a video game. I haven't done that. It's been about 2 years since I actually played a hardcore video game. Maybe I'll fire up my Twitch account and we can play it on Twitch. Well, Jeremy, you can call in any topic, my friend. Thanks for calling, but not really my topic of it. No, you can, any topic you want to talk about. It is open lines. So hold on. We got a caller. So caller, you can call back in if you want. It's 352-388-3900. I think I'm going to play, I don't know. I'm Arma. I started to play Arma, the other day. And I got it loaded. I got the Arma, the DayZs a while back, and I started to play it, and then I got called away, and I couldn't finish like loading it all in. So I think I want to play Arma, which I really, really like because that game it's a shooter up game. But the cool thing about it is it's like real. It's none of this, oh, you're shot, oh, you got hit points, and you'll be whatever. So let me take this call as we answer it. So is this Deb?
You know it is.
Welcome to the show, Debbie. So when's your MUFON? You got MUFON coming out this weekend?
Yeah, tomorrow. There's been some really strange things going on, Jeff.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't doubt it.
Like the ordinary here. Just really strange things.
So what has been going on that's bizarre?
Well, just a little while ago, I'm out here always patrolling these helicopter things, right?
Yeah.
And I seen one went like a 45-degree angle, went up above the clouds, but it had like a searchlight and lights strobing, like it was like chasing something, and it just like disappeared.
Wow.
I mean, I've never seen it do that. Maybe it spotted any. I think they got to be patrolling for UFOs. What else could it be?
Well, maybe they're looking for you.
They know exactly where I am. Heck.
Yeah, but you're inside. Maybe they're waiting for you to come outside.
I don't know. I just want to know what these things are and what they are doing.
I mean, when they're over where are they in general, like are they over the town? Are they doing this right above your house, or are they doing it kind of at
basically just like circling the perimeter of my house? Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I woke up the last 2 days with a bloody nose. Just something is going on, okay?
Wow. So but you got MUFON coming over tomorrow, correct?
Right.
So, okay. Well, let's see what they, what they say.
There's some really strange things been going on with me. Like, I've been having, like, body vibrations. I mean, really, and I was sitting, this is no lie, okay? I've got, like, wind chimes on my front porch, right? So I'm sitting, this has been going on for a couple of weeks. I was sitting on my bench, and all of a sudden, Jeff, I started vibrating. It went up my feet, I felt it in my butt, and I was vibrating so hard. Now, you're not going to believe me. My body was vibrating so hard that the left end of the bench was vibrating. First I thought, well, are we having an earthquake? So I look at all the wind chimes. Everything is dead still, okay? Nothing, not even the wind was blowing.
Do you wear a watch?
No, because they don't work.
That was what I was going to ask you. The watches, are you talking to me now on a cell phone or on your iPad or?
A landline.
You're talking to us on a landline. Do you find that your phone quits working?
No, but my iPad always messes up. Especially if I can put my finger, Jeff, above the face of the iPad and not touch it, and it will go weirdo.
When you say weirdo, what do you mean?
Just one time I was texting something to my daughter, and it went crazy and started texting things to other people. Now you tell me how that's possible.
Texting things like other people on your contact list or other people that you've never...
My friends list.
Your friend list. So it was people that that was in your friends list. What was it texting?
But I was only texting one person.
But what was it texting them? What did it say?
My conversation with the person I was texting.
Oh.
You figure that one out.
So as you were texting one person, it would open up another contact and text the same message to that person.
Exactly.
Have you taken the iPad back to like Apple Store or anything, or?
It doesn't do it all the time. It's just sporadic. I booted it down and booted it back up, and there's nothing wrong with the iPad. Just something weird happens with me in electronics lately.
Huh. Do you have light bulbs and light bulbs that blow out, things like that?
Yeah, especially those new fluorescent kind ones.
Yeah.
They're supposed to last for like 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Try 2 weeks. Brand new ones.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. How about things that have electric motors, vacuum cleaners, things like that? How do they?
Oh, I'm always having problems with the vacuum sweeper. I mean, anything electrical. It's like I got like a high energy electric. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we are energy. I mean, that like Keri was saying, we are creatures of energy. So but some people do have higher energies, and maybe that's what they're picking up on. Maybe that's what makes you unique, is the fact that you have a higher energy level, and you keep on tripping off their sensors or whatever, and that's why they're coming over to see what the heck's going on.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but I do know I can touch a picture and communicate with that person too.
Well, see,
I actually made one friend of mine I willed him to get on Facebook, and he couldn't believe it.
Well, there you go.
He goes, you're kidding me. I go, no, watch, I'll do it again. And I waited a couple of days. He goes, you're kidding me.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's probably why you're probably flipping someone off, or not flipping them off, but flipping them out in such a way that
I lost a friend that way.
Well, no, I'm talking about your visitors. I'm not talking about your friends and family. I'm talking about visitors. The visitors are probably curious. They're because, we are creatures of energy. There's no doubt about it. Even though we don't understand it, I believe, and I'm pretty sure that higher order beings definitely know about energy levels and how to manipulate and how to read them and stuff. And so what you're doing is you're attracting them because you're kind of like the big fish in a little pond.
Well, you know how I do it is I put my finger on the picture and I close my eyes and I kind of like go and like really concentrate, and I put a white light around me, and it works. In my mind's eye, I put the white light. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a blessing. I mean,
I've had gifts before. Like I could tell before the telephone's going to ring. I've always been able to do that. I could tell somebody the phone's going to ring. Get out of here. The phone will ring.
The phone will ring. That's pretty cool.
I never realized it though. That's been happening since the mid '80s.
Well, I mean, let us know on Monday what MUFON has to say.
Yeah,
I don't have this is what I'll do is I don't have a guest scheduled for Monday. So what we will do is we will hold that open for you we're going to do some pre-election stuff and things like that, but I don't have a guest, lined up for Monday. And so what we'll do is that you call us and let us know what MUFON said.
Well, I will, but the one thing that's puzzling me, she said she's bringing a psychic medium.
There you go. That's fine. Why does that concern you?
Well, I don't know. Why would she bring a psychic medium?
Because the medium she can be able to tell you about your energy. She'll be able to read your energy levels.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, no, that's actually very appropriate. I'm glad that she's doing that because she'll be able to pick up on your energies. She'll also be able to pick up on your, your abductions if you've been abducted and stuff like that.
Oh, that would be great. Well, I know I have. What else is those little implants for?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, I found one in my wrist, and I've got an MRI that said that I had taken in 1997 because I had a back injury at work, and it stated that there's a foreign metal object in my spine. But I have had other MRIs since then, and it's not there anymore.
It's moved.
But then I found it in my wrist.
But then you said when you tried to mess with your wrist, it moved.
It did, up my arm. It's not in my wrist anymore. It moved. What is this thing doing? Moving through my whole body?
Oh yeah.
How can it do that?
Well, it's you're dealing with beings and technology that we don't even have a beginning for.
Exactly.
So yeah, I'm curious. Keep me posted. Keep us posted. On Monday, we'll open the lines up, and on Monday you can let us know what MUFON had to say.
I will do that.
We will dedicate. We'll dedicate the first part of the show or whatever for you, because we don't have any guests. I mean, we're going to do some pre-election stuff, and we're going to kind of keep the lines open because I think there's going to be a major hack. So we're going to keep the things open for that. And then, of course, on the 8th is going to be our election coverage. But I will.
Major hack? I missed that part.
I think there's going to be, take some money out of the bank accounts for, a couple $100.
Oh, I see.
I think there's going to be we're preparing for it. I mean, that's just standard stuff. It's not anything, like I said, we're not privy, but we have been monitoring the dark web, and they're going to do another denial service attack. Probably over the weekend or on Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, fantastic.
which if, we're in the East Coast, if you're in New York, Chicago, that area and stuff, you're affected by it. Your ATM cards weren't working and stuff like that. So take some money out of the bank and just make sure you have some cash for gas and food.
Does that go for the West Coast too?
Yeah. Yeah. I think most of it was on the East Coast, but I think we're going to get hit on the West Coast. I think the last one we had, which was last week, was just a trial run.
Well, who's doing the hacking?
Who knows? It could be a government agency, government actor. It's not really hacking. I want to make sure people understand this. It's not hacking. They're not breaking into anything. What they're doing is they're basically flooding. So think of it I used to do this when I was a kid. I won't tell you who I did it to, but you'd have these religious guys. Well, you'd have these religious guys who would ask for donations and ask for money. And so we would get like 100 of us from school in high school because we thought it was just wrong. And we would flood their phone lines.
Oh my goodness.
So basically you just dial, and it's the same thing with computers. You just send so much data through their system that they clogs the pipes up. That's what a denial of service attack is. It's not really hacking or anything like that. It's just that you send so much traffic through the system that they can't do it. And the DNS servers are what kind of routes. It's what takes, computers work on what they call IP addresses, IPv4 or IPv6. And so they're numeric values. So every server out there on the internet has a numeric value. If you want to know what the numeric value of a server is, go to like a command line on your computer and type in NS lookup and then type in like themidnightocean.com and it's going to give you back an IP address.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So what it is that the DNS servers are kind of like the routing for all of that. They take a name and convert it to an IP and route the traffic. Well, if you attack the DNS servers so no one's DNS works, then you're in trouble. Now, what we have done, you can, instead of using like a named DNS server, you can you can create your own, which we've done. We've created our own, or you can point it to another DNS server like Google or someone like that has high security, and you'll be fine. But that's what they've been doing is they've been hitting those DNS servers so nothing can get routed the way it needs to be. So, yep, I have my own DNS server, so I created my own, and it only has the websites I go to. So,
smart move.
Yep. Well, we're a computer guy, but like I said, don't worry about it. The government, they think they're going to take over the internet. There's guys that are building infrastructure and designing systems that the minute the government flips the switch, there'll be another internet that the government can't control.
Right.
So, yeah, the guys that created the internet are very aware of what's going on and making changes and adjustments accordingly. So they will never be able to keep information short of.
Yeah, another thing that's really weird I've noticed, that when these helicopter things are like patrolling, these airplanes are changing their flight path.
Well, yeah, they probably are. Well, those are.
Well, I know they are. I'm watching it every day, and I just realized that the flight paths are changed.
Yeah. Well, if you got traffic, so that tells you those helicopters are known aircraft. They're looking for something, but the thing is that if they're there, the air traffic control is gonna move.
I think they're government or something says, hey, this looks so futuristic. It's not a regular helicopter. They make no sound. They look futuristic. They can go phenomenal speed. I've seen them up there just as fast as
you can be looking at drones. Government drones.
No, there ain't no drone that big, man.
You don't know. You have no idea what the government has.
That's true.
You have no idea. And, so it could be a drone, but it could be a drone looking for something. Or
it's twice the size of a regular city helicopter.
Yeah, they have drones that big. Absolutely. They have drones that big. The government has some pretty large drones, and you don't know. So let's move on. like I said, we'll let MUFON, you're going to meet with them tomorrow, and let MUFON tell you, and then you can tell us on Monday what they said.
I will do it.
All right. Well, Debbie, I am going to say good night, and I'm gonna do something that I haven't done in a while, play a video game.
There you go.
So you take care of yourself. Let us know. Like I said, on Monday, I expect a phone call from you. We'll have open lines. And
you'll get one.
All right. I expect it. So you take care of yourself. Be well. Be safe. Have a good time. Hang out tomorrow. You're gonna have a good time with MUFON.
All right.
Good group of people. All right. So there you go, Debbie, she's a regular call. Yeah. I don't doubt her one bit that she's got these craft flying over. I don't doubt it one bit. That's the reason why we put the MUFON in there. So we got another caller calling in. So we'll go ahead and bring them on the line. Caller, if you can, just state your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, I'm Jeremy from Minnesota.
Hey, Jeremy from Minnesota. How are you, my friend?
Hey, Jeff. I'm doing well. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Enjoying life.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key. That's the key. You got to enjoy it. Obviously, your guest tonight gave us a lot of tips on how to enjoy it better.
Yep.
Focusing on the energy and all that stuff. I mean, it's such a broad topic that it's really hard. I mean, you can hear people, I guess, say that, like, oh, we're all made of energy and you just got to focus on the energy and all that stuff. But there's so much noise going on everywhere that it's very hard to, accomplish.
Well, I can tell you one thing that we did here in the Norton household is we unhooked the TV. So we don't have cable TV anymore. We don't have satellite. We don't have anything. Now, if we want to watch a show or whatever, we have Prime or we have the internet. But we don't have any advertising or anything like that where they're trying to sell us something. And
right.
So it's amazing. And, it's amazing if you disconnect from the matrix, how vastly, your life, I don't want to say value of your life, but how much you value the things in your life.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. And a prime example of that. So I used to listen to just a lot of, standard FM radio where, whatever, sports talk shows, politics, things like that. You just listen to it 5 minutes and then they would just pound your face full of commercials,
Yep.
And they would just pound you. And there's a certain reaction that goes on inside of you that makes you feel kind of bombarded.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I fully switched to podcasts, and it's made all the difference. I mean, cutting out radio has made all the difference for me, and it's kind of crazy because you experience that everywhere. TV, radio, you can't walk to a store without being bombarded by, branding and all this corporate BS. So it's crazy. There's clearly an agenda being executed, and I think that whole branding and whatnot is part of that. So
you're a commodity. They look at you, you're a number. They figure out how they want to monetize you, and they can profit from you. And even though like we do the show here on YouTube shoots the commercials in there and stuff like that, but on Spreaker we don't. And then we have our breaks. And the reason why we have our breaks is I got to take a break, right? You got to be able to give the guests. So we do a 4-minute break, and that's why we play music and stuff. We're not going to fill that up with advertising. That's either going to be the vignettes or it's going to be music. The people that advertise with our show, we advertise their products and services just through word of mouth in the show. It's not one of those things where I need to have an advertisement that says, hey, you need to read this book or whatever. The advertisement was, hey, look, I'm reading this book. It's a really good book. And you guys, I highly, he was a guest on the show and you need to read it. And,
absolutely. It's genuine in that sense. You're not reading a script. You're not pounding people's faces with stuff like, you need to spend your hard-earned money on this.
Yep.
Instead, it's, hey, yo, check this out. You know, I have this podcast. I talk about controversial subjects. And, you know, I was influenced by this. So you, as my listener, maybe you should check this out. And that's why I think what you're doing here, Jeff, is a real noble cause. Because, I mean, let's face it, mainstream media is just bloated and overblown, and it's just getting out of control.
Yep.
And we need alternate sources of media, which, you know, podcasting and things like that can really achieve. Yep. Especially talking about things that aren't talked about in, you know,
mainstream. Well, that's society. The thing too, is our goal is to bring non-mainstream ideas to the mainstream. I mean, we want to talk about things, esoteric things. And like I said, and you talked about advertising. If you want to support the station or whatever, you know, obviously we do have an affiliates page, and you can go there. And these are all products and services that I use and that I endorse. And so, you know, we only have about 4 or 5 up there now, and we'll be adding some more. So like if you're looking for web hosting, or if you're looking for accounting software, I can tell you the web hosting, that's who we host our servers with. I've been with them 15 years, A2 Hosting. FreshBooks is who we do our accounting software. My other business, that's who I use. I used Peachtree and Goldmine, and I've used QuickBooks, and we use FreshBooks. Okay. I love it. I love Fresh. It's so easy, and we run our whole business off of it. And then, of course, custom ink. We use that when we do our shirts or for special events and stuff. We have a cool shirt that we had made up, and we ordered those through custom ink, and then Paladin Press. I mean, I get a lot of my books, my survival books and stuff from Paladin Press as well. So I mean, so we do have an affiliate, but we're not going to cram that down people's throats. No, we're not every 5 minutes we're going to say, oh, by the way, you know, we're not going to try to sell you nutrient dense foods and all of that stuff. We're going to say, hey, look, this is what we're doing. It works. Boom, go on. Oh, and by the way, if you want to help us out a little bit, here's an affiliate page on our website. Click on affiliate, click on it, and you'll see the products and services that we endorse. And if there's something you need or whatever, you know, use those. Those are the guys that we recommend. And that's it. And by the way, if our author has a book and you want to buy their book, we list the author's book on Amazon through us and buy it through there. And that's how we fund this.
That's perfect. You know, it's honest. Networking of similar minds. Right. Absolutely. It's honest.
It's honest.
And like those affiliates you were mentioning, you know, like those aren't the big evil corporations that own everything. You know, those are just small, honest
mom and pop businesses. Yeah.
Trying to make their own living.
That's
you know?
Right. Like I said, I know the CEO of A2 Hosting. I met him one time. I met him. He's an acquaintance. And I've been with him for almost, I want to say 15 years now. 12 years.
And you probably get better service from him than you would, say, a large corporation.
Never had a problem. I had GoDaddy. I've used a lot of the bigger services. I have customers who use the bigger services. And I will tell you that every customer that I put on A2 Hosting for the SIP stuff for their phone systems on cloud-based phone systems for their call centers and stuff, they love A2. They're like, they are by far the hands down. And these are corporations whose call centers go through cloud-based systems. They no longer have, big racks of servers in their offices, and they love them. They love A2. And, A2 has facilities here in the United States, and they also have a data center in Greenland. And
it's like you feel like a name and not a number for one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you call them, you can pick up the phone right now. Go to A2 Hosting, click on the link, they have a technical support number. You call them, and you will talk within 2 minutes or 3 minutes. You will talk to an American-based technical support guy. They're out of Michigan, and you'll talk.
Remarkable.
You will talk. So if you have a business. Like I said, I don't want to cram this down anybody's throat. If you want to, just go out to our affiliates. I can tell you this, each and every one that I list there are people that I personally use and we use in our business here, and we love them. I won't put you up there. I mean, I have a food supplier, and we have a bucket of their food coming, and we're actually going to be cooking up their food and eating on it for like a couple days. And before I put it, but they're a major player. But I said, look, I'm not going to put you up there until I taste your food and know that it is gluten-free and that it is good stuff. And so they shipped me, they shipped us a sample packet, and we're eating off of it for the next week. And if I like it and I think it's something that I'll put it up there. But I'm not going to inundate the show every 5 to 10 minutes trying to sell it to you. I'll say, hey, look, go to the affiliates page. If there's anything up there you like, click on it, buy it from us. It helps us out. Have a nice day.
Check it out. I trust them. It helps me.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And then move on.
And, I mean, I kind of wanted to, steer course a little bit. I heard you, mentioning like this upcoming election. And this is kind of interesting to me because, I mean, I've already been seeing reports. Like, I don't watch the news at all. I almost watch the news to sort of laugh to myself at, the stuff that they're shoving down people's throats. But, yeah, I mean, there's already, like, speculation that, the Russians are going to hack into a database and it's going to screw up the election votes and all this stuff.
Assange,
I mean, are they, like, staging this thing? Or
they are.
Let
me tell you what it is. All right.
Sure.
This goes back, and this is, this is well documented. Like I said, don't take my word for it, but you can Google it. So what happened? Sure. All right. So what happened was, President Bush Jr. went to Putin and said, look, we're going to do this arms deal with you guys. We're going to move all of our forces off of the border with NATO. We're going to downsize NATO. We can't continue to carry this debt with NATO.
Okay.
Putin agreed, said, all right, we're going to do, we agree. Obama administration has come in, and Obama, I don't care what people say, for the guy who got a peace prize, he is a warmonger. His people that work for him and work under him, these guys we've been in a constant war since Obama's been in office. If you think about it. Yeah. And so Obama then moved the missile defense system back on into NATO. One other reason, I think Obama's just a shill. I think he gets his instructions from, whoever's paying him, his paymaster.
Oh, absolutely.
So Putin,
absolutely.
Putin naturally, the whole Ukraine deal and stuff, Putin, everybody goes, well, we'll look at Ukraine. Well, that part of Ukraine is where one of Putin's major naval stations were located. And to be honest with you, the CIA overturned the Ukrainian government. The guy that was there was friendly to the Soviet Union all along. And it wasn't until the CIA went in there and staged the coup, had him kicked out. So once again, you have imperialism, and so what do you think Russia's going to do? And they're going to protect Crimea, and they're going to protect those areas because that's where their naval stations are. So they move into there. So then now you've got the President of the United States, Obama, now boistering NATO, and they're putting missile defense systems up, which basically would get rid of the whole, mutual assured destruction scenario, because these missile defenses that's what they're designed to do. Then you've got the Saudis who want to run a pipeline through Syria up into Europe, but the Syrian government, because you got Sunni and Shiite issues going on. So the Syrian government, Bashar, is saying, no, we're going to partner with Iran to do it. And so the United States government, because we're a lapdog of the Saudis because of the oil, and because you got to remember our dollar, the only reason why the United States dollar has value is because it's tied to the petrodollar. So the Saudis are sitting there going, well, wait, if you don't do what we want you to do, we're going to change the oil is going to be is going to be traded into yuan or whatever they want to change it to. So the United States then funded ISIS. That's why you had the Stevens, Ambassador Stevens in Libya, because he was doing the transfer of weapons for Hillary Clinton, to ISIS to fight Assad. And, and so the whole conflict, it's all about, oil and corporations and pipelines. I mean, look at what's going on with the Native Americans up in our own country. You know, don't tell me that this government isn't willing to start a war over a pipeline. I mean, they're hauling people off by the hundreds, North American Indians, and our government doesn't care about. It's all about corporate interests.
Well, absolutely, it is. It's because we're controlled by those, said corporations.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
it's quite
I want to make this clear. They are controlled. I ain't controlled by them.
Right. Absolutely. You're totally right. Correct.
I can care less. I mean, I don't care if they all, freaking bankrupt them.
So I actually haven't heard much about the Native Americans being relocated.
Oh.
Where's this going down?
Yeah, so this is up in North Dakota and stuff, this pipeline. It's not that they're being relocated. What they're doing is they're bringing the pipeline through their property. They don't want it on their property. They're also going to put the pipeline under the river there, which, these pipelines, look.
It's going to taint the river.
It's going to taint the river. And it's going to, 17 million people. There's going to be over 17 million people. Water's going to be affected by this decision. And everybody said, well, the pipelines are safe. Really? What about the pipeline in Alabama that just blew up this weekend? What about the pipeline in Tennessee that just blew up last weekend? These pipelines are not safe. And they're going to destroy. And these American Indians are like, well, wait a minute. This is our property, number one. So you can't have eminent domain. We have treaties with you. And then number two, you're going to destroy Debbie's even saying they're going to put it over burial ground, sacred land. Our government is, you don't hear about it on the news. You don't hear about it anywhere. Our government has become the evil dictator. I mean, we overthrow I said this on the air and I'll say it again. The only thing we export very well in this country is war.
It's war. Absolutely.
That's right. And we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. When I go to foreign countries and I know what people say about us and think about us when I travel in business, and it's disgusting. But I agree with them. I'm like, everything you said, I perfectly agree. But please understand, it's not the American people. It's the corporations and it's the government. And they're like, well, you vote for them. It's like, you really think we vote for our politicians in our country?
Yeah, that's another one of those just big lies,
Yeah, we don't vote.
I sometimes often wonder how much control we actually have over the voting system. That the one thing that is said to make us free people, the ability to vote in new officials and representatives. I mean, do we really? I don't think we really have control over it. I think if they want Hillary to win this election, they're going to make her win this election, and that's what's going to happen.
Well, you have Clinton News Network, and you have, another, CBS, which is Clinton Broadcasting Service. You have National Business, Clinton, NBC. I mean, no, they all are. I mean, they have, look, they're still talking about Donald Trump and his vulgarity towards women. And, you got Clintons over here who they have 5 FBI investigations against them. You got
treason.
Humida Adine, you have her where she, in testimony, basically she perjured herself in a testimony. So she's got an indictment coming towards her for perjury because they asked if she had any other machines. And of course she's going to say, well, I didn't know this was on there. Well, how the hell was it on there? Who put it on there?
Right.
Who put it on
it's so easy to kind of just switch up your language a little bit and go off scot-free. I mean, that's what makes me sick about this.
If you want to know how the Clintons play, go back and watch Bill Clinton's testimony over Monica Lewinsky. That's how they play. Well, it depends on what is. What do you mean it depends on what is?
What are your Jeff? What are your predictions for this upcoming election? You think Hillary gets it?
I don't have any, to be honest with you. All right. So this is the deal. This is the way I look at it. If Hillary's elected, I can tell you we're going to go to war with Russia. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If Trump is elected, I believe we're going to have a civil war internally.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
So, like Civil War, like are you talking like a race war?
You're gonna have no, because you got a lot of. I don't want to say a race war. You got a lot of millennials who want socialism.
Sure.
So you're gonna have. I don't want to say it's a race war. I think you're gonna have a lot of. I think it's gonna be a civil war. You're gonna have. You're not a civil war in a sense because they don't have weapons. You're going to have civil disobedience, civil unrest.
Sure.
They're not going to be organized because it's they call it the millennial organization or the millennial. I call it the me. It's the me generation. It's all about me. So the problem is the issue with that is that the me generation, you can't organize a argument or a fight when you're just thinking about you.
That is very true. Yeah. That is very true. Very close-minded. I mean, I'm of the millennial generation, and I went through the whole school system. It's just a kid, a very impressionable kid, trying to learn about the history of America and the history of the world and sort of where we fit into this huge puzzle. And well, let me tell you, it's quite baffling because the things they teach you in school are so different than what actually happened. Like you don't have any basis of foundation for who you are and your existence. You kind of have to dismantle that and figure it all out again.
Your communal existence. The other thing too is that we have, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm a Generation Xer. I mean, we have disenfranchised you. We allowed. Because the baby boomers have basically cut up, diced up, and sliced up everything in this country so they can drive around in their Harleys and they didn't have any aspect of what was going on or what this would do to the future. And they allowed for profit. They allowed our corporations to be shut down. So and our factories to be closed, and they allowed the NAFTA treaties to go so they can make more money in their 401ks and have their retirement plans. Sure. And now that, it's come, as they say, it's come the roost.
It kind of seems like there's no eye for the future anymore. It's all sort of in the now and maximizing profits. And, in 50 years, if we even exist that long, I mean, we're looking at a pretty rough world where natural resources may even be difficult to come by. Like, how about clean water?
See, I don't.
Clean water.
Well, I don't follow. I mean, clean water is because we destroyed it. It's not that. Exactly. It's not that the water's not there. The reason why and let me tell you, that's been you got T-Bone Pickens who has purchased one of the largest aquifers. And so naturally they want to poison the natural water so they can sell you their bottled water at profit. Water costs more than gas.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was listening to a podcast with Jesse Ventura actually, and he said just buying the bottle of water, ounce for ounce or pound for pound or whatever you want to, whatever metric
it's more. It costs you more
than gas.
Yep, more than gas. And that's by design. They want to poison the water because they want you to buy their bottled water.
So what's your stance on bottled water then?
I don't drink it. Screw that. I have filters and we generate our own water. There's ways you can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I ain't going to drink bottled water. I'm not feeding it in the machine. Yeah, you can buy air, their systems that, it's called Ready Pure. There's a system in which I can't remember who makes ours. It's so old, but what it does is it generates water out of the air, out of the atmosphere, the humidity. It's like where I'm at in Florida, we have a ton of humidity, so I can generate up to 7 gallons of water a day.
Wow. Yeah, I think up here in Minnesota, it's a little less humid, of course, but
you can probably do about 3 to 5.
There's got to be sources to, gain natural water. So it's a matter of having
Well, you got the lakes.
We do have the lake, yeah.
But, so you can just dig down.
That'll be the next thing that, that goes due to, pollution from everything that's going on. It's, I honestly, Jeff, I try to have a positive outlook on the future and what's going on. I mean, I'm not even 30 years old yet, but I'm trying. And yeah, man, it's hard to find threads of positivity.
Let me tell you, the world, all right. So I'm going to give you the advice that was given to me by a very smart man. The world is a beautiful place. The world will seek balance. The energies of the world will seek balance. What you need to do is you need to spend this time to position yourself so when that balance comes, that you can be part of it, right? So don't get caught up in the neocon, the left-right paradigm. Don't get caught up in all of that. What you need to do is make sure that you're training yourself so that you have a skill set that's desirable, right? Make sure that you are, the necessities of life. Make sure that instead of going out and buying that cool car or that great motorcycle, and I'm just telling you, because I made those mistakes myself. Instead of going out and doing that stuff, take that money, invest it in your future. Invest it in the things that you're going to need anyways, like food, like storable food. So that way you have a food supply. Invest it in ways of generating water for yourself. If you own a house, invest it in ways to stay off of the grid, things of that nature. And Debbie, yeah, you can take fluoride out of water. We do it all the time. So she's in the chat room wanting to know you can't take fluoride out of water. Yeah, you can. There's filters that do it. That's why we use atmosphere.
You just have to get a specialized filter for that then?
Yeah, there's a special filter that does it. But the thing is like the system that we have pulls it from the air. So there's no fluoride in the air. And then what it does is it runs it through a filter system and then it runs it through a UV light. So it kills all the bacteria and it's the cleanest water you'll ever drink. It's great stuff.
That sounds sophisticated.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, the system is $1,100.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's about the size of a water cooler, and it's $1,100. So
okay.
So
it might be a worthy investment.
Yeah, and then you have unlimited as long as you have power. And what's really cool is they sell, I think, for another $800 or $900, they sell a solar panel system that you can hook it into a solar panel, and then it generates its own electricity that way.
No kidding.
Yep. It's pretty good stuff.
I mean, I think that's the steps that, a lot of us have to take. Because, like I was saying before about my generation, I mean, I feel like we're blind to a lot of this. Like, I will literally talk to my friends and, people closer to me just about these issues that are going on, and people don't seem to want to even hear it.
No.
People just write it off as conspiracy wacko-ness, and it's troubling to me because I mean it's like they've already gotten to them. The media has already done that. The politics have already done that. The system has already done that to them, and I mean I don't know. I just want these people to wake up, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't want to be the only one standing here.
Oh, you're not
preaching this stuff.
Don't worry about it. I mean, you got to dust, as a good Lord would say, is you got to dust the sand off of your feet and move on. You can only take it to people and show them one time, and then after that, you're done. I mean, I wouldn't even to say, hey, look, this is. And that's what's appealing about, all right, so let me tell you about my history. I mean, I had a highly charged political podcast for years. And I used to just beat people up with this stuff every day. I mean, I wasn't as bad as Alex Jones, but I was, the same information. I just wasn't as vitriol about it. And so I felt, well, what happens though is you're preaching to the choir. Every day you're preaching to the choir. You're not really reaching out. Everybody I'm talking to already knows what I'm going to say before I say it over and over again. So it turns people off. You're never going to get someone from the left, or you're never going to get someone from the center. You're never going to get someone from the ultra right, whatever to listen because it's vitriol. They don't want to hear it. So what we do in our show is that we present a universal message. I try to stay away from politics in the sense of, Trump, Hillary, whoever. I don't I don't care, because both of them have their issues. What we try to do is present shows and topics that you as an individual, because, you got to take care of yourself first before you can take care of others. And so we try to present shows that will help you take care of yourself first. And then once you take care of yourself, naturally, you're going to start thinking globally and universal, or universal and then globally. And so then you're going to spread that message out. And that's our goal. I don't need to talk politics with you, because when you become in tune with yourself, all of that stuff you're going to find out is noise. It's all a distraction to keep you from learning the potentials because the last thing the government or any organization wants, even corporations, is for you to realize that you are a powerful being, that you control your destiny. You don't need a car, or you don't need a big house. You don't need a fancy wife. You control your destiny. You are in control of it, not corporate America, not some government, not some politician. And they hate that. They hate not some church. I want to say even churches. They hate that. They hate that because, and that's the whole awakening movement. And what we are about on this show is waking you up, and waking you up as a better human being. And you'll
couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's, obviously that is the cause. I mean, that's what ultimately has to happen. We need to become less dependent on the things that are instilled and pounded into us from an early age, that you need this to be cool, or you need this to survive kind of deal. It's not like that, It's crazy how far off track we've gotten on just that topic alone.
It's all by design.
And that's why, and that's exactly, it's by design.
It's all,
that's what.
It's all by design. This is what I want you to do. There's a great book. All right. So if you're going to start out and you want to get awoke really quick, you want to wake up really quick, there's a great book. He's a good friend of mine. He was my first show on this format, because he was actually a guest on my political podcast. But go back. It's Jeff Hayes. It's the book on Jeff Hayes. You can just put in Hayes, Hays, Hayes, or Jeff on in the search at the midnightocean.com. He's got two books. He's got the New World Order and the Calling of Man, the New World Order, Calling of Man. Get the first book and the second book. Get the first book first. When you read that book, it will open your eyes to what you are dealing with. These people, George Soros and the people that run this, that are, our future, our destiny, they are Luciferians. They are the devil incarnate, and their belief systems is based upon Luciferian principles. And Jeff lays that out. So he shows you the rituals. He talks about the things that they're doing. And it's a thick book, great read, but I would highly recommend that you read that book. And that will tell you what you're dealing with. And then once you know what you're dealing with, then you can step back and say, you ain't got no, you can put a gun to my head and threaten to pull the trigger, but you ain't taking away who I am. All you're doing is you're eliminating my form. Yeah. Okay. You smashed me into the ground. I'm no longer here, but you know what? You don't have control over me, and that pisses them off.
Well, that's what I'm all about, Jeff. I'm all about pissing them off.
Yeah, you do, man. I mean, to the man, I like I said, take care of yourself. Continue to listen to the shows that we do here. You got to understand the reason why we do the types of shows we do here is to help you wake up. Once you wake up, all this other stuff, who wins the election, is irrelevant. It might be, to the short term, it might be relevant, but in the long term and stuff, you're going to go, what do I care? I'm above that. I don't, that's the thought, people that for money and wish for fame and wish for fortune. That is a small mind's thought. I wish for spiritual awareness. I want to talk directly to God. I want to talk directly to the higher beings. And when you do enough of these shows and you do that, you're going to learn how to do it. I'll tell you, man, it's changed my life. You're talking to a dude. Look, you're talking to a dude who 4 years ago had a hardcore. Go back and look for the Midnight Patriot on YouTube. Those are my old shows. The Midnight Patriot
okay.
on YouTube. Those were my old shows. You will see a side of me that I am not proud of, but it was who I was at the time. Yeah, we found YouTube has them all, has all my old shows.
Okay.
Yeah, years worth of shows. So take a listen to those.
So is that kind of how you got your feet wet in the whole, podcasting, I guess subculture, you could call it?
Yeah, and podcasting it was because I wanted to do something. I wanted to wake people up, but I realized that's not the way to wake them up. And so what we're doing now is the way to wake people up. Yeah. But I started out in, my history. So you guys, a lot of you listeners know, I went to school and I tried to get a job at a radio station at the WMOT in our university. The problem was it was a French jazz. They were a jazz station. They're still a jazz station. I couldn't pronounce the names correctly of the artists. And I had professors that were
you and me both.
Yeah, I'm horrible with some of those names. So yeah, my radio days were over pretty quickly. And then I just went on to computer sciences and, did the computer stuff and then came back and said, look, I have a gift, obviously, to talk to people, and I'm not using that gift for the good of people. So I said, I'm going to start the podcast radio shows again. And just
so would you have any tips for somebody who is, perhaps interested in starting their own podcast? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, obviously you bring on guests, for all your shows.
Yep.
And those can be the easiest to find sometimes, I would assume. Like, how do you start branching out? Do you just use social media for that, or
No. I mean, you just reach out to guests on you find guests that you like and you hunt them down and you reach out to them.
Okay.
I mean, most guests will come. Yeah, most guests will come on the show. They like talking to people. They're trying to sell a book or whatever. Now, the issue is that you got to build somewhat of a following, and you have to how do I say this? The best advice that I can give you is the same advice that was given to me. Do your own show. In other words, do the show that you want to do. Don't make your show like mine. I tried to make my show like Art Bell. Because he was my mentor. Don't do that.
Sure.
Don't make that mistake. Do your own show. Do what you feel, because what happens is if you try to fake it, people sense that it's not natural. It's not real.
Right.
And they'll sense that. And, and that's what's going on like with George Norrie right now at Coast to Coast. I mean, he's a great radio guy. He's awesome radio guy. The problem is people sense that he's fake. So to do your own show, be sincere, be who you want to listen to. Find your, create an avatar, like your perfect listener. My perfect listener, I actually have two. My perfect listener is a retired person in their 60s, in that age range, who just want to be entertained. That's avatar number one. Avatar number two is a person, a millennial, a person such as yourself, who has never been exposed to the topics that we talk about. I mean, the UFOs, the Area 51s, the conspiracy theories, the things of that nature. A lot of guys like me, the Generation X, we grew up on Art Bell and we grew up with that. The thing is that you probably never heard of Art Bell.
Yeah, just very vaguely. I'm not aware of his work at all. I heard he was great at what he did, or maybe is still great at what he does, but
he's retired.
Beyond that.
Yeah, he was awesome. So the topics, and that's what we're trying to do, is bring those topics back. Bringing the topics of UFO, Area 51s. All of the guests that are on this show have been guests of Art Bell. And so that's...
Okay.
Yeah, so these are the topics. But yeah, if you're going to do a show, start out small too. Don't, doing a 4-hour show every night is brutal. And I can tell you, it's a profession.
I can imagine that, yeah.
This is a profession. I spend at least 6 hours a day just getting ready for a 4-hour show every day.
Wow.
Yeah, because
time commitment then for you.
Well, because you have to, you're always, getting guests. You're having to read. You have to read your guest books, and you have to understand. Yeah, and you have to understand. I treat it. I tell people it's like Bob Vila. You ever watch This Old House? You ever remember the old classic This Old House?
Of course, yeah.
And you have Bob Vila, and he'd always like, how do you hammer this nail in? How do you, and you're like, Bob, you know how to hammer a freaking nail in the wall, but you know how he did that? Well, as a good host, though, your job is to be that Bob Vila, is to ask the basic questions, because I promise you have a guest out there or a listener who doesn't know how to hammer a nail. That's a very good point. So you have to prepare yourself enough about the subject matter that you're going to talk to. It's not just talking on the radio. You have to prepare yourself for the subject matter that you're going to talk about, so you can ask those questions of your guests.
Sure. So do you have like a question sheet?
Nope.
Like, you just kind of, familiarize yourself with
do
the
your own
material,
show. Yeah. For me, it's unique because the questions come to me. That's the talent. Sure. That's the gift that I have. That's the gift that has been given to me. Is that
and I think that's why your show has a very communication, sort of nice and casual, just communication type vibe to it, and I think that's why your show is a good show to listen to.
Yeah.
And like you said, it doesn't feel forced at all, it simply feels like, hey, you're my guest. You have some cool stuff to talk about.
Let's talk.
And let's talk about it.
Yeah, I will tell you, I get a lot of questions that come to me that I ask the guests come to me right then and there. Where a lot of people are like, well, you need to write these. It's like, no, because then it's scripted and it doesn't feel good. I get, like I said, part of what I'm doing is I'm learning to listen to myself and my higher power. So a lot of the questions that I ask are actually, they're like voices in my head saying, ask this question. I think a lot of it too is I pick up because I am somewhat empathic in nature. And I think all of us are. If you sit around, because you can read people without them even saying a word. And so what the other talent I have, and you saw it firsthand, you were asking questions in the chat room. And and I weaved those into the conversation, and you didn't even know I weaved them in.
Quite casually too. It was seamless.
Yeah,
it was nice work.
Well, that's the gift. That is the God-given gift that I've been given. That's not. I can't lay claim to that. That has been given to me. That ability to, as my mom and dad would say, my ability to bullshit. And excuse my language, but I can say it's a late night show. But being able to weed, no, that is, and that's a talent. But you get there by being yourself, who you are. Be honest with yourself, and that's how you get there.
And yeah, I think that's it's sometimes a challenging thing for people to be themselves because we're so influenced by. Everything. I mean, we're influenced by people telling us who we should be.
Yeah, dude, you're gonna look at you're gonna do the same thing I did. You're gonna look at the YouTube comments. You're gonna look at validation. You're gonna look at. Don't do that. Don't look at the YouTube. I mean, go ahead and read them. I mean, I read them, and do you know what I do when people criticize me? I say, thank you. Yeah, we're working on it. I'm learning how to do this, you know, and that's, don't look for validate, you know, if you're yourself, if you are who you are and you put that out there, trust me, people will love you, because there is so much fake crap out there right now. And people know that. So when people hear someone who is genuine, who is truthful, who is honest with them, I don't ever come on the show and ask you a hard question if I'm not willing to ask that question of myself, of myself. So I'll share my personal life with you just as much as I ask someone else to share theirs with you. And if you're honest and you show that, people, I mean, they're going to come to you. And it's not a stick. It's not a gimmick. It's just the truth. People want, in this world of lies and misinformation, people want genuine conversation. They just want real. They just want real. They want people. They want people to, and you know, the other thing too, they want people to tell them that, hey man, you're okay. And what you're feeling is normal, and everything you're going through, dude, you're okay. And if you want to start a podcast, I'm there for you, and I'll help you do it. So you tell me when you're ready to go. Would you tell me when you're ready to go, and I'll give you all the information you need. I'll write down to the equipment you need to purchase.
Well, that would be highly appreciated. Absolutely.
Not a problem.
I mean, you know, I don't know. I got into podcasts past couple of years, and it's just obviously certain podcasts, but they're much more real. Like you were saying, you tend to gravitate toward them because they seem real. They're not pounding you full of advertisements like the talk radio is and stuff like that. So I think, just as an ultimate sort of ending statement, Jeff, I think you're doing a good service.
Thank you.
I think you're good at what you do. And, yeah, man, I just found you yesterday, but I'm thrilled to have found your show, and I'll continue to listen. I'll continue to, you know, add comments and call in when I can. Absolutely.
Dude, jump on in there. I welcome them. I appreciate it. And thank you very much. Hey, it's this week. Are you in college?
I'm a college graduate, actually. I'm an English major.
So you're an English major? Okay. All right. Well,
went through that cavalcade already.
I got you. So do this. Get with your buds this weekend. Go out, have a great time. Be safe, right? Make sure that you don't, do anything stupid. Drink a beer. Have a great time with your friends, man. Enjoy. Look, I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a day where I'm pushing close to 50 now, and which is hard to believe. Enjoy your life. You are young. Do not worry about the small things. Enjoy your life, do what's right, and enjoy your life, because there's going to be a time when you're going to hit my age and you're going to look back and you're going to say, boom. So this weekend, get with your buddies, tear up the town, be safe though. Don't be stupid. Drink a beer, drink one for me, shoot me a text or whatever. Let me know that, hey, I'm toasting one for you, or post it on Facebook, man. We're friends. I friended you. So post it on Facebook. Let me know that you guys are having a good time. And when I get up to Minnesota, I'll look you up, my friend. And I will be up there. Right, actually, Jeff. I usually get up there once a year. So
you do, huh? Okay. Yep. Well, yeah, be sure to look me up.
I will, man.
It'd be awesome,
Yeah.
And you yourself, sir, you keep fighting that good fight, all right? And just know that you got support all over the U.S. of A.
Thank you,
and
my friend.
Worldwide, if you're going worldwide.
We are worldwide. We got, I'm surprised Lasers in the Jungle didn't pop in. He listens to us from Africa. And, let me actually check. We are international. So, but you take care. Have a great weekend, my friend. And thank you for calling.
Hey, you too, Jeff. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
There you go, guys. Yeah, that's what it's all about. I'll tell you, that's the best advice I can give any one of you young YouTubers or one of you young podcasters, man. I'm going to tell you the same exact thing that was told to me by my mentor. Be yourself. Do your show. And if you need help, man, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Just send me a message or whatever. Let me know. And I'll be glad to do whatever I can do to help you get out there. And we need more people. See, that's the thing too. This is not a competition. I'm not competing against any of the other shows out there. I'm not in competition with them. We're all here to help each other. We're all here to take non-mainstream ideas and bring it to the mainstream. We're here to wake people up. The day that this becomes a job is the day I'm going to retire. I'm in Major League Baseball. Think about it. My job is to get up and go to work doing the things I enjoy doing every day. And I wish that for you guys. And if there's anything I can do to help you find that part in your life so you have that peace and that happiness, I will. And we're committed to that. So I just want to say thank you for the calls. I appreciate it very much. What an ending. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It was awesome. Guys, gals. Like I said, it is the weekend. Go out, have fun, enjoy it, be safe, be well, but most importantly, like my good friend Ed Roman would say, be love.
of an inch.
Ocean with Jeff Norton on the Paranormal State Radio Network.